Oh, welcome to the Sharpe. We're so happy to have you with me this evening, right at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Yes, Friday. Excuse me, on the dot at 7 p.m. Why did I want to come on tonight and talk about something that may seem kind of odd, right? Why would I want to talk about dating in this case? Why would I want to talk about conservative versus liberal dating? Well, for several reasons. Number one, it is political, obviously, but it's also social. It's both. There are people now, many people across our country and across the world, to be forward with you, but across the country that I care about. And we are not getting together for so many reasons why we don't want to talk to each other. But now we're making politics also a huge part of why we're not getting together. And it just seems so insanely non-productive, maybe is what I'll say. But I get it. Like, you have every right to date who you want to date. I get that. But we are really punishing ourselves as a nation, as a culture, ensuring that we just make things keep getting worse. And I wanted to bring it up and talk about it because there are some aspects of it that are important. And again, whatever you might want and whomever you might want to date or marry or whatever, any of that stuff, we have to start thinking about, are we going to be able to make this happen regardless of what happens politically? And is our media helping us? Spoiler, no, but that's okay. I'm going to cover that piece too. And I also want us to see there are a lot of people who just will take no responsibility for their part in this. And I will say something that will make some of you angry, but doesn't matter. I still say anyway. If you are part of a failed relationship, part of that is your fault. You started the relationship. You agreed to it. So it's part of it is your fault. I'm not saying if some guy's terrible to you or some gal's terrible to you, it's automatically 100% your fault. I'm not saying that. But there is a part of any relationship that fails. My failed relationships, I take responsibility, partially mine, right? Of course, yours too. And we should be looking at that even as a society. If men and women aren't dating each other, and relative to the past, that is coming more and more true, it's not women's fault, men's fault. That's not really a thing. I mean, partially, it's both fault. That's the piece. It is both. But we don't want to hear that, sadly, right? Because if I'm a man, so you women's fault. If I'm a woman, so you men's fault. Of course it is. But in reality, it isn't. And I want to cover something that's kind of important here. And this happened recently. There was a woman, Vera. How do you pronounce her last name? See if I can get it right. It is a Russian sounding name, if I can get it right. Vera Papisova. There we go. Vera Papisova. Sova wrote an article about her going into the evil manosphere, the horrible red pill world of people who are evil and mean, and all her words, W supremacists of that type, right? And I won't say it on YouTube. I get canceled and then no one wants to talk to me anymore. So yes, but you know what I'm talking about, that type. And of course, the horrible bigotry and all that stuff, right? That's what it's supposed to be. That's what she says. Okay, I got it. You can decide what you think, but there's something else. CNN makes this far worse than it could have possibly been. So let me bring it up and you will tell me.
CNN's Donny O'Sullivan got in the cage with former UFC star turned podcaster Jake Shields to explore the manosphere and why exactly it's so popular.
Now, they start this with inside the manosphere, as if they're going deep in the manosphere, right? That's what they act like. They're not. That's just garbage. It's in an original report. She goes in and she says this, that it's because she went in, they send this guy, Donnie, in, who was the manliest of men. Anyway, here we go.
They speak liberal, they have liberal friends, and then they go online and they are a white supremacist.
Now, this is how they started. So if you're a member of the manosphere, if you're a member and you know Redpill community, I'm not part of Redpill community or manosphere. I know many people in it. I've had some of them on my show. You've seen me have some people on my show. Dr. Thunder is a member of the Manosphere. I know a bunch of the people. I know the Better Bachelor guy, Joker. I know him. I know a lot of those people who are part of it. I know them, and they're friends of mine. I like them. But I'm not part of that world, as you probably know. But I speak on it because I know of it, and many of them aren't actually the WS types, as she would say. Many of them are actually libertarians, to be forward with you. Many of them are. Not all, obviously. Many of them are. She starts with, they talk liberal, have liberal friends. Now, in her eyes, that means good, right? That's how she takes it, because if you're liberal and you're liberal friends, you're a good person. That's how she means it. Please don't take it any other way. And then they go online and they're all of a sudden the WS, the supremacists of the non-opposite of black people. That's what she says, which means now they're evil. Well, number one, why would they have liberal friends and talk and speak liberal, her words, speak liberal when they're around people like her? Because if they don't, they'll be ostracized. They can't move forward. They have to speak, newspeak, or they can't survive in the environment. Think about that. Think about that. Back in the day, the opposite was true, right? Back in the day, women had to act like, oh, whatever you say, boss, you're so smart and powerful and handsome, so they could not get fired or get ahead, right? Now, reverse, the men have to act like, oh, no, liberal women, you go, queen. They have to say that, or they can't move ahead. That's where we are now.
This is Vera Papisova.
And of course, it's the Sex and the City soundtrack type thing, right? Because that's who she is. Every New York, you guys don't live in New York City, you may not get this. But every woman who comes to New York City thinks they're Carrie Bradshaw.
Spent the last year dating far-right men in New York City for a story for Cosmopolitan magazine.
She's literally writing, she thinks she's Carrie Bradshaw. She does. It's true. Anyway, now, again, she went and found far-right men for her to write for this article. Okay, I got you. No worries.
The most insecure men I've ever sat down with.
Most insecure men. So she goes right from they talk liberal, good, and now insult, insult, insult. Are you not surprised by this? I wasn't. I knew she would just lean on the insults because that's how it always begins. I tell you, that's how it begins. And that's how it always begins. Insult, insult, insult. So therefore, anything they say is irrelevant. Don't care about their feelings. Don't care about their emotions. Don't care about their fears. Don't care about their issues. They're not valid. They're dismissed. Insult, insult, insult. I wonder why these men don't want to date her.
It was really difficult to have some of these dates because they were so insecure, because they don't really know who they are. And
I'm glad you're not broad brushing. I'm glad you're not. So everyone in the manosphere, everyone in the Red Pill community, all of them are insecure. What she said, they're all insecure and they're all, I don't know, bad people.
they don't know how to figure that out.
She said the men she dated got all their news and information from the so-called manosphere.
They
Yes,
did
all of
not
it.
listen to
They didn't get it from CNN and Cosmopolitan.
anything else. They're only listening to independent media, and they're only listening to men.
Independent media, that's for idiots, isn't it? You see how she says it with she's not saying it in a way that if it were me and I was talking, I said, well, they prefer independent media because they don't trust CNN and mainstream media, which is also accurate, but that's a neutral piece. You can take that as bad or as good, depending on how you feel about independent media. She didn't say that. They only listen to independent people who are clearly insane. You see the vitriol that comes out of her.
I'm talking to men.
The manosphere is made up of macho podcasters and influencers.
There's no such thing as
Okay, of course they bring on Tate. All right. The manosphere, by the way, is huge. I know many people in it. They always throw it at Tate because they have to, but I get it. He's the most popular. That's true. Every time I bring up Red Pill and Manosphere, any people go, well, you like Andrew Tate? He's the most popular guy. I get it. I'm with you. I'm not an Andrew Tate fan. I've said it more than once. I'm not. I've done videos on him. I'm not an Andrew Tate fan. But the thing that you will hear me say all the time, and I'll keep saying it, in theory, there should be no room. It's not true, okay? There should not be a massive space for a guy like Andrew Tate. There shouldn't be, but there is. And you can be mad about that all day long and not like him all day long. But he is not the problem. He is a symptom. The problem is we have young men who are lost. That's true. young men without fathers, young men in a broken system, young men raised by single mothers who hate men, who act like her, who think all men are bad. Well, then they themselves as bad. Of course they do, right? So here comes macho guy, which he is macho. Whether you like him or not, the guy's macho. People go, he's a bad. No. If you think he's not macho, the other guy just said it. He's totally macho. Of course he is. Alpha male, all that stuff. Of course he is that. If you say he's not, you just don't like him and you're assigning bad traits to him. He is absolutely macho, alpha male, all that stuff, right? So if you're a young lost male, you are drawn to this. If one thing is true, you don't have positive, strong male role models in your life. I know. I was that kid. That's why I joined the Marine Corps. I was desperately searching for positive male role models. My father died when I was 11. I grew up with a single mom who was an addict. That's who I grew up with. Do you think if he wasn't around, I would have been with him? I'm telling you the truth. You get mad, cry. Yes. If someone like him was around when I was 16, 15, of course I would have. I didn't have that. I had Marines in my high school and such with cool uniforms, being tough guys, macho guys. Like, I'm going to be that. And I joined the Marine Corps. When there is a gap, people like him fill it. Where is CNN's comment on that? There is none. It's just insult, insult, insult.
It's an independent female. Most women have zero concept of like money.
Females don't have independent thought.
It's a space where UFC.
And now they throw UFC and Trump in. This is why CNN continues to fail. Now, don't get me wrong. Most people who are red pill or manosphere prefer Trump to Harris. Of course. Most men in America lean more conservative than they lean liberal. That's true. But why would you link like Andrew Tate directly with Trump and UFC? UFC is also macho. It's guys fighting. It's tough guys. So young men want to be tough guys. You can be mad at all you want, but you know what, women? You love those tough guys. You date them and you give yourselves to them in droves, and don't lie and say you don't. As women, not maybe you specifically, but as a group, you throw yourselves at these men. Throw yourselves at these men. Like there's no tomorrow. You throw yourselves at them. Men see it and go, well, I want to be that guy too.
Fighters are among those who reign supreme.
They love the UFC guys. They love
100%.
the MMA guys.
And so do you.
Because those guys do what they can. They're modern gladiators.
Look at her.
They're bad.
Look at her smiling. They're badasses. She loves them too. See, this is the thing that she can't help but telling herself. She would throw herself at those men. Throw herself at those men. So now you have other men who want to be those men and you don't like it. Why? You look at her smile. Watch her finish.
Yes.
They're badasses. She loves it. She would throw herself at any of these guys in a heartbeat. Throw herself at them.
Like Jake Shields, a former UFC star turned podcaster.
Sorry. Now I'm starting to feel nervous.
So they put this guy with this. Okay. Anyway, but that's CNN. What do you expect? Right? What do you expect? So, yes. Let me grab a couple comments about good. Kim, thank you for being a member. Who not to date? Lol. This is getting crazy. Thank you, Kim. Look, to be very forward, no one needs to or must decide to vote for someone. I mean, vote. It is voting, but to date someone who they don't want to. You're not required. You cannot want to date a conservative man. No problem with that if you don't want to. You cannot date a liberal man if you don't want to. No problem. You can do what you like. But why would you just start with insults? Right? If you're a journalist, I mean, she's not, but in theory she is. This guy's a journalist, he's not. But in theory, if they were journalists, they would simply say, here is a problem. Here is what's happening. People are deciding that's what's happening. No, they're like, see these crazy people in manosphere? They're all wrong and bad. And that's the goal. So now, if anyone's watching, are they saying to themselves, I got to worry because these conservative men, they're bad people. So now anybody who's Republican, I have to not date. How is that helpful? How is that helpful?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Who I met at an MMA gym in Las Vegas.
Like all great MMA pros,
This is the guy they put in here. This is the guy they put in here. The guy who has to do the inhaler and then is chubby, and then that's the guy they pick. Okay.
I've never hit anyone in my life.
I'm not punching back. Hit me.
You know what? That guy who supposedly, according to this woman, Vera, is the right guy, which is the guy who goes, I never hit my life. She would never date him. Never. She would never date him. Ever. I'm not making that. She would never date him. She did the other guy, the guy who just knocked him down. Of course she would. If anybody ever told her, I've never hit anybody in their life. One of the things Tate does, for those who don't know this, is men who spend the money to join his group, they have to go into a fight voluntarily. They have to go into a ring and do a UFC fight. I'm not joking. That's a real thing. He makes them do that. Why? Why would you do that? And many people are like, that's crazy. No. I don't mean to be cruel. I don't. But Mike's on. He'll get it. If you are that afraid of violence as a male, it's not good for society. It's not good for your woman. It's not good for your family. It's not good for anybody. You shouldn't be as a male. And that may sound sexist. I don't care. It's still true. You should not be that afraid of violence. I'm not a violent person. You know, if you know me at all, I'm resorting to violence. But am I afraid of it? No. Have I been in a fist fight before? Yes. My last fist fight, it's a true story. I was a Marine years ago, so 30 years ago. I was fighting over a woman, which is insanely stupid. I'm embarrassed to say that, but it was true. I don't want to lie. It was stupid, and I was indeed fighting over a woman. I know. You're like, Larry, that's the... Yes, I know, but it's still true. And I almost was thrown off of a third-story terrace. Only reason I wasn't is I grabbed the guy, and I was going to take him with me. And because he didn't want to go himself, he decided to not throw me off that terrace. Instead, we fought down a flight of stairs. Yes. And then I got tired of the fight after we wore each other out. And I hobbled off to my car and drove away. I never saw her again. So that's my actual... But again, did I want to fight this guy? No. Do I want to fight people? No. Am I afraid of a fist fight? No. I've had many of them as a youngster. Not in many years, because that's not who I am. But if I had to, would I? Yes. Have I boxed? Like, yes, I used to do smokers in the Marine Corps. If you're a Marine, you know. I used to do smokers in the Marine Corps. So I would fight. I've studied martial arts. I'm not going to show off. I'm not some hard-hitting, heavy guy who beats people up. I was never a great fighter, and I'm still not a great fighter. But I'm not afraid of violence. And men should not be so fearful of violence. Right? It's not good. And women don't like it either. I'm just being forward. They don't. To go fact, thank you for the $5. The father of the Red Pill, without a doubt, is Rational Male, author, pragmatic podcaster, nothing with hating women, only understanding. I don't know. Most people will call the Godfather Kevin Samuels. Just saying, Duke. I get Rational Male. I know him too. We're not friends, but I know him. I don't know. I know of him. We've never met. I know of him. I've never, obviously Kevin Samuels passed away. I never met him either, but I think most people say Kevin Samuels is actually the Godfather. But Rational Male, people know him too. He wrote like 3 or 4 books on this, maybe 3 or 4. So he's not libertarian though. Aaron Cleary, he's a libertarian. Joker from Better Bachelor, he's libertarian. Dr. Thunder, also libertarian. All manosphere people. There's lots of them. They're all over the place. Yeah, absolutely. And the part of the manosphere that they don't talk about, and to be fair, she's right. There is a part of the manosphere that's terrible. That's accurate. I'm not going to sit here and defend it. There's parts that are horrible. There are parts of the manosphere that actively hate women. That is true. I clearly do not hate women. I obviously don't support it. It's not a good thing. The part of the manosphere that's good, and there is a part that's good, it is a part that says men take responsibility. If you don't have a girlfriend, it's because you aren't being hardcore enough. You got to be more hardcore. You got to be stronger. You got to make more money. You got to be more forward. You got to get on your purpose. You got to do the right stuff so you can get one. That is a positive message. And there's a part of the manosphere that says that. That part I love. That part I love. The part that says women are all bad, that part I don't love. But I do think that the rational male, I know of him. Thank you for the $5. By the way, guys, if you want to get your chat to the front, you can always super chat me, as you just saw him do. You can super chat me on YouTube, or you can rant me on Rumble. It'll come right to the top. I also try to grab my members first when I can. You can become a YouTube member, $49 per month. Click that join button and you become a member. And of course, go back and forth. If you think I'm utterly wrong, you know I will put your comment on here and you can go back and tell me I'm totally wrong. I have no problem with that. I'll go back and forth. You know I will. If you want to become a member on Rumble, that's okay. Click subscribe during the live, $49 per month. The more members I get, the more this will go out to other people, the more people will notice it, more people will see it, and we can have real conversations. If you notice, I'm not just saying all men are bad or all women are bad. We're actually talking about it, right? If you can repost this all over, please do so. I would appreciate it. Reposting it into a Facebook group, reposting it into anything you want. Post it into a woman's group. Post it into a man's group in Facebook so they can go and tell me how wrong I am. Fine. I don't mind at all. But no matter what, click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. That is the button. Click that button. It does matter. The more you click it, the more Mr. Rhythm, Al Gore, Rhythm, the more he likes it. And he shares it more and more. So please do that if you would. It does matter. So, all right.
KO. This is CNN. You miss being full-time pro? Like,
You know, of course I miss it. To go from professional athlete, which is the highest of highs, to retirement.
And I guess the
podcast has helped.
He didn't even take off his shirt.
You could fall into depression if you just go from the most amazing career where you're famous and spotlights to all of a sudden you're a nobody.
Sure.
Like other podcasters in the manosphere, Jake regularly hosts controversial guests.
So he brings on that point immediately, right? So he acts nice to him. And then immediately stabs him in the back. This is very common, right? And the part that I think has drove me the most crazy when I ran for office is when I would have very positive and nice communication with journalists, and then just watch them shove a knife right in my back and only take the worst parts and spin it in a way that was terrible, and done with him. This is guy, he says, look, this is Jake Shields. I used to be a champion. Now I can't do it anymore. It's hard for me to go from that to that, right? It's tough to do that. Now I have to do this, and it keeps me going, keeps me excited. He's saying that he lost a part of him, and this podcast brings him some joy and some purpose. So what will they do? Take a nice steaming dump on him is what they will do.
I named the podcast Fighting Back. I feel like we have to fight back what we're told we're allowed to do. I just don't like to be told you're not allowed to talk to this person. Like, Why can't I talk to him? I'm not.
Yes. And this is a point that people don't get. And I've been saying this forever. It's one of the reasons there's so many reasons why people do strike out like him. Many reasons people are libertarian, who become almost just contrarian. Because when you force people, they fight back. As a culture, you can see the woman who did this is the Vera woman. He actually wrote, but then he's the evil conservative guy. You've just said that you can't talk. You can't say words at work that you used to be able to say. You can't say work on your friends. They cancel you. You can't step online. They cancel you. So guys like him fight back. Why do you think I don't have a regular job? Because I say what I want. That's why. I go work in some business. I got to keep my mouth shut. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Right? I know that. It's not going to work. So I got to do this and be a consultant. So that I have to recognize that the value I bring somebody is more valuable than whatever might be bad for them being connected to me, right? I have to do that. I have to bring up so much value to people that the downside of being connected to a guy like me who says whatever he feels is okay, and that's not easy. He does it. He's got cash. He can do it. And instead of saying great, they take a dump on him instead. Let me grab another one of these if I could. Duke says, "Thank you for the $5, my friend." Kevin Samuels started as an image consultant on YouTube. True, that's true, and he did look good. I'm just saying, if anyone wants to look. Go back and look at Kevin Samuels. Whether you agree with what he says or not, the man knew how to dress. He did look good. That's a good-looking man. That's all I'm saying. Later shift to Redpill content. Rational Man starting to pick up artist forums. And yes, I remember that. You know what? You're right. I just think the difference between Rational Male and Kevin Samuels is Rational Male was never able to be as smooth as Kevin Samuels was. The pickup artist stuff was very interesting. But that guy, Strauss, Neil Strauss wrote that book. I read the book. And then Green wrote not the 33 Laws Strategies. It's the Art of Seduction. Sorry, wrote the Art of Seduction, which is about that too. There's a couple of, Neil Strauss's book is called The Game. And that's all about that. I agree. It started in the 90s. I read the book. I knew about it. I knew how to pick up women already, but it was good. But that was helpful. It did help to pick up women. The problem was the difference between, I think, Kevin Samuels and Rational Male was in the early pickup artist games, for those of you who read that stuff or watched it, it wasn't about having a relationship at all. For those of you who pay attention, it was only about picking up women, which is a skill that men need to have. It's not a bad thing, right? It's good to have that skill, but it was about picking up women and fooling them. That's what it really was about. If you read the book, it's about that. And you weren't a better man. You just picked up women. They thought you were super cool because of the tactics you use, which do work. And women can get mad and say this work. They absolutely work. It's true. They absolutely work. But the problem is you can't keep the woman because you're still the same guy. So you would go out, use the cool tactics, particularly young women would fall for it. And, oh, okay, great. So now you pick the woman up, you got a number or whatever the case may be. Maybe you date her once, maybe you sleep with her, whatever is your goal. And then she's like, but you're a knucklehead. I don't really like you. And that's that. And then what happens from this? Women hate men more. They feel used. They feel abused. All men suck. The pickup artist game, while it was effective, don't get me wrong, and people made a ton of money on it. Oh my God, so much money. The problem is it didn't make better men. So yes, the young men could fool the woman with good tactics, and the woman wants to believe it, so she does. But then now they think, oh, this is terrible. These men are bad. They're all losers. And it makes things worse. The difference between that and Kevin Samuels actually tried to make you a better man. That was the difference. He actually tried to. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Rational Male also does that now. But the original pickup artist stuff, that was just like tactics to get chicks. Again, not a bad thing to do. Good luck for men who want to go get chicks. Good luck. I have no judgment on that. I'm just saying in the long run, that wasn't helpful. The pickup artist stuff wasn't helpful in the long run. I think being better men can help, right? Women got to be better too, though. Don't get me wrong. Women, I'm not going to sit there and beat up on men only. Women got to be better too. Like this woman here was talking trash. She's just a hater. She takes no responsibility for what she did. She's just a hater. So this is, again, I got scoldings for everybody in this one. So yes, I hope that makes it's clearer what I'm saying, at least, if that makes any sense. So Missy says, I love Kevin Samuels, rip Godfather. Second piece here, which I would say with Kevin Samuels. Most of the red pill guys today, to include Rational Male and others, very few women watch. Very few women watch. Women watch Kevin Samuels. They used to call him to a show. Yes, you can go on YouTube right now, put Kevin Samuels woman or whatever on YouTube now, and you will see tons. Obviously, Missy was one of them. Lots of women listened to Kevin Samuels. Some listened to red pill content now, but nowhere near the percentage that listened to him then. So yeah. All righty. Let's see here. If I could, I think I grabbed that one. So all right, let me keep going if I can. Thank you for that, Missy. I do appreciate that.
I'm not saying I agree with his ideology, but I should hear what he has to say.
He's hosted the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Now, to be forward, Jake Shields has had hundreds of people on his show. Hundreds. But he had this guy on. Now, don't get me wrong. Would I want to have this guy on? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would. I'm thinking about it now. Maybe. I get a bunch of clicks. Maybe I would. I might actually grow if I had this guy on. But I'm saying, right? Maybe I might grow. Now I'm rethinking it now. Maybe I would. But my point being, one of 200, and that's when they put up.
I have a very, very special guest, Dr. David Duke. I know you're controversial, but I have no idea how controversial.
And Thomas Russo.
And here's the other part, right? He says, I don't know how controversial. And what people will say is, what's wrong with you? I'm not sure Jake Shields is lying. He probably doesn't get it. No shade on him. He does what he does. He is not famous for rocket science. That's what I will say. He's not famous for that. So he's not famous for his political takes. He's not famous for his political science. That's not what he's famous for. So he may actually not get it. I'm just saying, you can be charitable with him.
The leader of the white supremacist group, Patriot Front.
Let's go where we disagree a little bit.
Yes, sure.
He says, here's what we disagree. He does say that. He doesn't go, you're all right. He doesn't say that.
It's at race, because you're a white only group?
So the organization only allows people of American ethnicity, and all Americans, I believe, come from Europe. So they're white.
So they spend all this time, again, showing hate. Do they talk about the actual guy? No. What he's saying? No. How about men's issues? No. What does it say on the bottom? Inside the manosphere. That's what it says. So now you're supposed to see that. Oh, see, if you're a conservative male, this is who you are. This is who you are. And you wonder why so many, particularly urban dwelling women, big cities and such, literally, if you say you are a Republican or conservative, they literally will not date you. I'm not joking. They will actually punish you. They will say they hate you. I'm not joking. If you live in the city, try it one day and watch it happen. And this is helping. CNN's making things worse. What they should be saying is, look at the manosphere. Why are men going here? What's the problem? Why is our society failing? Why is this happening? No. Look at these guys. They're all evil.
Of the American spirit, fight on! You know, I understand and talk to these guys, but I've also not brought anyone hateful. If I do, I'm going to be really on top of them.
But so you saying that you haven't brought someone hateful on, right? People say, well, you brought on the Grand Wizard of the KKK, you brought on Patriot Front.
Yeah.
They're hateful.
No, I think those are excellent questions, but if people go and watch the actual interviews, I think they would be like, oh, this guy's not near as hateful as if I expect it.
But Vera says hate isn't what the men she dated were really looking for.
Oh, wait a minute.
One of these guys brought me to a political meeting.
Okay.
And did they talk about politics?
Barely. They talked about, it was a bunch of men complaining about girlfriends and wives.
So let me see what she just said. And look how dismissive she was. He brought me. So he actually believed that she liked him. Right? Why would he bring her there? He thought he had a girlfriend. That's what he thought. So she played with the guy's feelings. That guy's watching this now. And he's feeling like, wow, I liked you. He's hurt. She's made him worse. She has made him worse. She played with multiple men's feelings for an article so she can go on TV and have better hits on Instagram. She has ensured, this woman has ensured, she will never have a positive relationship, long-term relationship with a man. I'm not joking, never. Because any man who she would want will look at this and go, nope. She has become, as the manosphere says, for recreational use only. Because of herself. Because of herself. The men who would date her, she never date. That guy, if he's straight, I don't know if that other guy's straight. The guy she's talking to now, he doesn't look, but maybe he is. He would date her if he's straight. She would never date him. Never. You see how she was smiling, talking about those UFC fighters? She wants that guy. That guy would never date her. That guy would use her. That guy would never date her. She's killing herself, making things worse. She's part of the problem. Why? Because imagine the reverse. Imagine some guy says, I went and dated liberal chicks to see what they were like. He'd be the evil guy. What happened to Matt Walsh when he did his What Is a Woman? Oh my God, they slaughtered him. O'Keefe, when he was out there, slaughtered him undercover. But she plays with these men's feelings. Now they got to watch this and feel like they were used. She's insulted them now. They're all, now they're all supremacists. All of them are. Now she said them, they all are. They're all insecure and terrible and complaining. She said this. Making things worse. She's part of the problem. She is part of the problem. And of course, takes no accountability. None.
Agitating Andrew Tate type of.
Right.
So look, him's like, right, yeah, right. Will you date me? No, she won't, dude. Stop. She won't. Assuming you like women, he might like men. I don't know, but assuming he likes, I don't know. Whatever. The point being, they're like, yeah, he's a CNN reporter. And he's going, right. He's not asking the question. The question he should ask, if she was on my show, the question I would ask her is, so this is basically like a men's group that was worried about their girlfriends and wives. They were unhappy in their relationships, and they had to come here to talk about it. And you thought it was weak and funny. Yet you probably would say, I wish more men would have more value in their feelings. And they cared about the relationships. They're complaining about their wives and their girlfriends. She said so. It means they probably wanted better relationships, right? What if it was reversed? What if a man, again, same thing, goes in, there's a bunch of women complaining about their husbands and their boyfriends. He goes, these stupid women talking about husbands and boyfriends, doing all this feminist garbage. Imagine that had happened. He'd be raked over the coals. Talking his he must be a supremacist because he's saying that. He must be an evil conservative man because he's saying that. But she can say it, no good. None of this is valuable. None of this is helpful. None of this is helpful. Korea is having such a problem with men and women getting together that is literally going to bankrupt them in the next 20 years. I'm not even joking. The country is about to collapse. Their only answer is going to be one of two things: mass immigration or the reverse. Everybody leaving the country. That's it. It is so bad in South Korea, it is at this moment unrepairable. Doesn't matter what they do. It is unrepairable. South Korea in the next 20, 30 years is going to collapse in some way, shape, or form, economically, something. It is unrepairable. I'm not making this up. You will see it. This is one of my 20-year predictions, I guess. I have lots of predictions, and they're always right. This one will also be correct. 20, 30 years, one of those two. South Korea is unrepairable, except for massive migration or massive immigration. One or the other. That's it. You have to basically empty the country out, a whole bunch of it, so that the right people, and people leaving have to be older. The only way, because they can't pay for everybody. Can't be done. They're not having families. They're not getting together. They're not getting married. It's so bad. Yes, it's so bad in Japan, they're now marrying Russian and Ukrainian women. They're importing them. For a while in Japan, they were importing Filipino women and Thai women. That was a common thing. Literally, I'm not making this up. They were literally importing Filipino and Thai women into Japan to marry Japanese men because they weren't marrying Japanese women. They didn't want to get married. And it was a massive brain drain from Japan. Japanese women were like, we don't like these men. They were moving to America. Good for America. We got some of the best Japanese female talent literally on the planet. So, good for us as Americans. That good for us. Not good for Japan. Now they're bringing in Ukrainian and Russian women. Why? Because all the Russian and Ukrainian men are fighting in that war and are dying. So women don't have men. So the Japanese said, well, we don't like our women. Come to us. I wish I was making this stuff up. You can just Google search this stuff. It's true, right? I wish it wasn't happening. And this is making things worse. This is why this matters. Because this is making things worse. They're not helping in any way, shape, or form. They're not helping. So, all right.
Advice about how to train your girlfriend, how to train your wife to be submissive. And
all right, two things. Number one, don't women say to train their men? You got to fix your man, train your man. Don't women say that? All the time. If you're a woman, don't lie to me. You say, oh, how you got to train your man all the time. But men said it's wrong. Now, you also said, she says, you have to train your women to be submissive. She said that she was looking, her words, far-right, very conservative men. If you're looking for far-right, very conservative men, they're going to want submissive women. They're far-right, very conservative men. What were you thinking? But they don't say that. What does it say there? Inside the manosphere. That's what it says. It doesn't say far-right, very conservative men want submissive women. Duh. That's not a story, is it? That's not a story. But she's not saying that. Right? This is all men who are in the manosphere, all men who are red pill, all those evil men who are not liberal. What she said, they talk liberal, but then they're not. That's why it's a problem. If you actually just said, hey, I went to a far right, very conservative place, and they wanted submissive women. Yeah, and why'd you go there then? Right? If you don't want that kind of man, then why would you date that kind of man? Clearly, if you want to date a very conservative, far-right male, if that's what you like, and no judgment if you like that, that guy's going to expect you to be submissive. Right? If you don't want to be submissive, you probably shouldn't date that man. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to be, right? This makes sense. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. Anyway.
So this group was supposed to be a political group, but they're talking about relationship problems. And the fact that that's what most of the time was spent on, you don't need to be a neo-Nazi. You need therapy.
You need therapy. See, they're all broken men. Men who don't know exactly what they want when they want it, men who show weakness whatsoever, need therapy. Well, you could talk to your woman, couldn't you? Maybe and have a conversation and fix things. No, therapy.
The appeal of Jake's podcast speaks to a need among young men in this country that Vera says can't be ignored.
You have to incentivize someone to want to be better. You can't just say, let's make men better. The thing about these guys.
Okay, so then how do you incentivize them? By insulting them. I like that. You can incentivize them. Why? How? By dating men who are working on themselves? By doing that? No. You're not going to lower your standards, queen. Not doing that. You're going to date a man who's trying to make himself better. You're going to lower your standards. You're going to do that. So that's not going to happen. What are you going to do? Insult them. And then when you find the manosphere, which is a chunk of the manosphere, which she doesn't talk about, as I talk about, there's a chunk of the manosphere that is telling men literally that. If you, anyone who's in it, and many of you have done any time in the manosphere, you go to manosphere, you will see, you will not hear leaders in the manosphere or even any influencers go, the problem is just that women suck and you're a great king. You're a king and you don't have to change. You never hear that garbage in the manosphere ever. You'll hear, well, of course you're knucklehead. You get your money right? You don't. Well, are you working hard? You don't. What you doing on the weekend? Playing video games or trying to hustle, make some money? Or playing video games? That's your fault. That's the manosphere. That's your fault. Why aren't you working? Making some money. Why aren't you hustling? You in the gym? You buff? And they go, well, I'm only 5'6" or 5'7". I'm short. Okay, you should be wide then. Be short. You need to be wide. Be as hot as you can be. Make some more money. That's what they say. Now, they also say women suck. I don't take it away. But she should be speaking about that aspect, which is what I do. I take the good out of it and then push the good versus just harping on the right and the bad and insulting. So she says we have to incentivize them, and then she insults them. You know what you'll do? You'll insult them until they do well. The beatings will continue until morale improves. That is absolutely the wrong way of making things happen. It isn't the right way at all. So, all right, let me grab a couple if I could over on Rumble. Space Jason says, let's be honest, when CNN covers the manosphere, they're making the same mode trope that leftism is default, right? And anything to the right is fringe and racist. True. And they're reinforcing it. They had an opportunity in this to actually make a real comment on it, right? But they didn't. They just said, see, let's insult. That's the problem.
Is their biggest support system is online, but that also is very isolating, and isolation is what breeds hatred.
Okay, she made that up. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true at all. The reality of it is, it's not isolating. They're actually making their own groups.
It's like Patriot Front offer community.
How many times are they going to show these?
Community based on racism and hate.
People.
Dr. Thunder, who is one of the guys in the manosphere, is black. Kevin Samuels, who is literally called the godfather of the manosphere, literally called that, is black. I'm not making this up. Ask Missy. She saw it. She watched him. And Missy's not black, by the way. I mean, she can always be my black sister anytime she wants to. But she's not black, and she watched him. Yes. This is not, they're making this up. Right? Okay. Andrew Tate is half black. His dad's black. I don't know what this is. They're making this up. The guy they said, the evil racist guy, he's half black. Andrew Tate is Muslim. I'm not making that up. Andrew Tate is half black and he's Muslim. And they showed him. Kevin Samuels, the godfather of the movement, is black. He was Christian, but he's black. Dr. Thunder, he's been on my show. He's black. None of this is true. They made this up. Is there a part of it that is that? Yes. And she went after that and then is showing it as the norm.
Have to really think about, do you have the capacity to talk to people that you don't agree with?
You don't. Pot, meet kettle. You don't.
Because that one nice conversation you might have might change someone's day enough to not have to seek out help in an online support group, which is actually a bunch of white supremacists using.
Or you could always lie to them, pretend to date them because you care, and then embarrass them on CNN. Oh, wait, you did that. You did that. Yeah.
Political beliefs as an excuse for how they feel.
Yeah.
Donny O'Sullivan is here with us now. Donny, I'm so glad you've done this special. There's so much intrigue around this issue of the manosphere.
Yeah, because none of you understand it. True.
And in fact, Trump is going to the UFC tonight. How big of a role does the sport play in the manosphere?
Hey, Isabel. Yeah, and look, we should point out at the start here, there's tons of guys who are fans, and some women as well, who are fans of the UFC. I have many friends who are fans of the UFC. It certainly does not mean, that if you...
So now, after you've insulted, it's the same thing. I sit here and insult you. I say, Shelly, you're this. Shelly, you're that. Shelly, you're this. Shelly, you're that. I insult you for like an hour and go, well, Shelly, I love you. What? You just insulted me for an hour. That doesn't work. That's not how that works. Yes. Matt says, thank you for being a member, Matt. He says, good thing I work at Amazon where nothing matters. Yes. Make retarded insult again. You know what? That has come back. Retarded has come back, and I'm not mad at it. I'm happy it's back. And why am I happy it's back? You might go, Larry, it's a terrible word. It isn't, and I'm going to tell you why it isn't. There are many slurs and insults that are meant as insults and slurs. But when we, as Americans, use the word retarded, we're not insulting someone who has a mental disability, right? We're not using it for that. If I use other words, I'm using those words at that person who is the thing, trying to insult them because they're the thing. The N-word, the F slur, whatever. I am attacking that person for that thing. True. But retard, no one uses that against someone who actually has a mental problem. No. You use someone who's dumb, who's saying stupid stuff. That's who you use it against. So it's actually not insulting the group of people. It's not doing that. Anyway, it's fine. It is what it is. Missy goes on to say, Kevin is who really got through to me. And after a long time of not dating, I was confident enough to go on a date. He was harsh as AF, but drove him a truth. Yeah, right? And again, I take this back from how I learned how to be a much better salesman. Years ago, over 20 years ago, I used to sell beds. Yep, in people's homes. I did a lot of selling. It's how I learned to be a better storyteller. It's how I learned to be a better sales rep. It's how I learned to be better at what I do in business. It's because of that job. And there was a VP there who was a very harsh VP. He used to be in the Saudi military, and he was part of a group of people who were trying to overthrow something there. And I can't be very specific. I don't want to get him in trouble. So he had a choice. Stay and be executed, or leave his family, and you can go in exile and never come back, and your family will be spared. And he left. So he went to exile, and he was very harsh, and he became a VP at the company that I was selling for. And that guy was aggressive. He was yelling. He would use horrible slurs. He would insult people's appearance. Us, not customers. He was amazing to customers, But to his sales reps, to his troops, harsh. F-bombs, racial slurs, horrible. Couldn't do it now. Could not do it now. That's like impossible. But then you could, and he did. A lot of people, to your point, Missy, couldn't take it. And they left. They didn't learn. They couldn't hear him. I had come out of the Marine Corps where all my leaders were that way. Every leader would just insult me, attack me, scream at me, call me names, belittle me. That was what I grew up in as 17, 18, 19 years old. Mike is with me. He knows lots of that, right? Lots of that. So that talk to me was like, whatever. Okay. He was harsh, but boy, did I learn. I could get through it. A lot of people couldn't get through it. Missy, good for you for getting through it. So yes, absolutely. Cheyenne says, I hate people thinking you shouldn't talk to this or this type of person. You guys have seen me. I put all types of people on my show, and I don't insult them. I talk to it. Liberty Death says, Patriot Front's a bunch of Fed boys. You're not wrong. Yes. Mike's thinking the way I'm thinking too. Mike says, why not host a triple K leader? It's the context that matters, like Putin or Kim Jong-un interview, Castro in the past. It's about what is asked, not what they were asked. It's about what is asked, not what they were asked. Journalists will, correct. There we go. So Shelley says, so my Native American sister is an American. That'll be news to her. Well, according to that guy, yes. So there we go. According to that guy, yes. All righty. Let me see if I can keep going down here. Garrett's on board too with you. He's on board with you, Liberty or Death. All I'm going to say is that Patriot Front looks like they buy the same pants as the insert three-letter agency here. Correct. It's one of those three-letter agencies. Yes, it is one of them. I think that's true. Yes, absolutely. So in any case. All righty. Let me see if I can grab a couple more of these. A little bit longer.
You're a fan of the UFC. You are falling sort of down this rabbit hole of hate and white supremacy and everything else. But what we are seeing is that there is this.
Remember, but. So every but is an eraser. So so-and-so, but you just erase what he just said because it doesn't really mean it. He does think everyone is white supremacist. He does.
Sort of, there is this crossover. The UFC is playing a greater and bigger role, really, in American life. Joe Rogan, who's the world's biggest podcaster, is a UFC commentator.
So clearly he's evil too. Now you link him to the manosphere. Is Joe Rogan part of the manosphere? No. But they linked him now because we have to make him evil too, right? We got to make everybody evil. Dismiss them all. It's all about dismissing.
Dana White, who is the founder of the UFC, is a prominent Trump supporter and was recently appointed to the board of Meta by Mark Zuckerberg himself, another big MMA and UFC fan. And actually fighting tonight in Miami. Trump is going to the event. We're not sure if he'll be there for the earlier fights, but fighting tonight.
Okay, I thought this was inside the manosphere. And then underneath, the special report says, watch misinformation. Extreme America, Sunday at 8. That's the next thing you see. I wonder why CNN's crashing. I wonder why.
In Miami.
To be clear, they have learned nothing. Let me say it again. They have learned nothing. The only group that's trying to, with their claw, to try to hold on and make something happen is News Nation. That's it. News Nation's trying. The problem is this whole world of TV news has been so terrible for so long. It's so ingrained in garbage. I don't know. It's so ingrained in garbage. I don't know if they can fix it. But News Nation's trying. I'll give them that. They are trying.
The UFC event is a fighter by the name of Bryce Mitchell, who recently set up a podcast of his own. And on his debut episode a few months ago, he said that Hitler was a quote-unquote good guy or a great guy. Dana White, the head of the UFC, was quick to condemn that. But
oh, so he condemned it. So then why do you keep saying it? So if I come to you and I do an interview with you, Donnie, and I ask you, hey, have you ever, I don't know, smacked somebody? Well, I mean, I did, but I didn't like it. Okay, and I stopped and think, I talked to Donnie, and he told me he smacked somebody. What? I mean, he hasn't never hit anybody. But I'm saying, that's how I start. He smacked somebody. No difference. That's how I start. Yes. So Kim, ooh, hardcore Kim. Kim's coming out hot. She says men will sacrifice their happiness for their family. Women will sacrifice their family for their happiness. Wow. Well, I don't know if that's true to be fair with you, Kim. But I can and I have seen many examples of that. That's what I'll say. I'm not sure. I don't have the data to know if that's accurate or not. I've heard that before, and I know why I've heard it before, because I know so many men who will stay in bad marriages because of their kids or family, and so many women who will not, and they'll just leave. This is the reason. I'm not saying it's the right answer to be fair. I'm not advocating for this. I'm explaining why this is going to happen. That's why so many men are fighting against no-fault divorce. Now, people will say that the people who hate it will go, they're just trying to control women because women are getting, women are beating men, and men are beating women, and they don't want to, keep them in a marriage, whatever. No, that's not what no-fault divorce is. If the man is beating the woman, that's a fault, and they can divorce. That's not a valid argument. The argument for it is, for getting rid of no-fault divorce, is if marriage is a contract, and it is, then there should be punishment for leaving, or you don't leave the contract unless someone breaks it, in which case that person pays for it. That's the concept behind it. Again, I'm not saying it's the answer, but you should understand the concept, right? If we make a contract that we're going to be together forever, according to our vows through sickness and health, through richer or through poorer, right? That's the contract which you're supposedly making. Are we really? Obviously not. But I'm saying in theory, we're making that contract. Then you should only have to break that contract if someone breaks the contract, right? I go cheat on you, you cheat on me, I'm hitting you, you're hitting me, which means there will be a fault. And if there is a fault, then the person who breaks the contract does not get rewarded, right? So if the woman goes and cheats, she can't get alimony and the house because she cheated and she broke the contract, right? That's the theory behind it. And I get the theory completely. What's happening is, and this is happening now, you see the data is everywhere if you look at it, women are initiating divorce far more than men. It's not even close. It's like 3-1, 4-1. I think it's 4-1 now. It's 4-1. Women initiating divorce than men. And you might say, well, that's because men are cheating. That's not true. Cheating has not increased or decreased at all. If anything, it's decreased in men. If anything, right now, the latest stats now that I got, this is probably a year ago, women actually, particularly if they're younger women, under 40, cheat far more than men. It's not even close. It's like 4-1. When there's cheating in a relationship, it is more often in younger women than men. So now you have younger women who are cheating on their marriages and then getting divorced because they're saying they're not happy and then taking the man for half. And men are going, that's not fair. That's again, you may disagree. That's their viewpoint. I'm giving you a viewpoint. The men are saying it's not fair. She cheated. She broke the contract. Why does she still get half? Not fair. That's their logic behind it. Now, is it going to work? I don't know. I mean, I feel like that part of that no-fault divorce thing is more desperation, trying to save men from losing half with cheating women. I think that's part of it. So I don't know if it's really true. I haven't done enough homework on this, Kim, to know if that's accurate, if it would actually work or not. I don't actually know. But I do know that's the logic behind it. That's why they want to do that. And a lot of men do believe it to be true. And the other stats are, if the woman's educated, the more educated she is, the more likely you will be divorced, and the more likely that she'll be the one who initiates divorce. The more likely. That's true. That is there. So, yeah, that's it. Joel goes on to say, many people are as faithful as their opportunities, man or woman. That's true. And that used to be a thing they say about men. Now it's both. Now it's both. I agree. Now it's both. Men cheating level has remained steady or gone down. Women's cheating has gone up. See, you're just as good as us, women. You cheat like we do. It is fair. Look at that. It's fair. We all cheat. I don't, but I'm saying. Yes. So there we go. So anyway, Mike goes on to say, it's like that fiance show and the bee that dumped the guy on the altar. Yes, that was Love is Blind. I did a show on that one. That's right. Yes. This doesn't empower women. It creates friction and distance. Correct. This makes things worse, Mike. You're correct. It makes things worse. That's the problem. She did it for the same reason this woman did it. She did it for clicks and do it publicly. She did it publicly. It is Terrible. Yes. IC says, get a gaggle of women together and they'll be complaining about boyfriends, bosses, men, etc. Yes, we all do that. Yes. We all do that. Yes. And if I saw women together talking about their men, I wouldn't go, stupid women. I wouldn't do that. I'm like, okay, they care about their relationships. If I saw men complaining about their wives and girlfriends, I wouldn't say stupid men. I'm like, yeah, they care about their relationships. Okay. Yes. That's all. Matt says, crazy concept that women would be attracted to masculinity and men attracted to femininity. Clearly, she likes masculine men, but then wants to trash what she's attracted to. That's the problem. She's not helpful. She's not. Clearly, she likes masculine men, right? Clearly, she does. But she wants a masculine man who is not conservative, who is not Republican. Oh, okay, you can find them, but there's not that many. You can find them. There aren't that many. So, yes, there aren't that many. So, yes. Andrea says the U.S. is heading in the same direction. As Korea, yes, that's my problem, Andrea. You've read my mind. The U.S. is headed in exactly the same direction as Korea, which is why I bring this up. Why does Larry Sharpe, the guy who talks about running for governor, the guy who talks about politics, that guy who talks about the country itself, the guy who talks about foreign policy, why is this guy talking about the manosphere, right? Some CNN show. Why? Because you're right, Andrea. None of it matters if we aren't happy. None of it matters. I don't mean to be cruel or doomer or black-pilled, as they say. I don't mean any of those things. But if we can't get together, if we can't be happy in our relationships, in our families, if we can't do that, who cares about the country at that point? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'm with you. We are headed that way. That's why I talk about this. Yes. Morgan says, so those ads are real about getting paid to marry those women in other countries? Yes. Oh, that's absolutely true. Those ads are real. Yes. Morgan, yes. This is a massive industry. It is a massive industry. You are totally correct. Yes, those ads are 100% real. Yes. Let me wrap this up if I can.
You know, you can just kind of see there where folks who might be coming into this sport for one reason are fan of fighting, and then they're getting exposed to views like.
See, you can't expose these people to views. You can't do that. You should control the views. That's what he literally said. This is how bad this is. It's thoroughly embarrassing. But I have to go back. It's not just the left. It's the right too, right? It's the right too. This is a piece from Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly got a beef with each other a while ago, about a week ago or so. It came out, and this is and if I can find it, this is a part where hold on. This is Amber Duke. She is talking about this piece. Let me grab this if I can. And she says some things about conservative men. And I mean, we talk about conservative women and conservative men and liberal women. But here we're going to talk about actually the conservative women also. It's not just liberal women. It's conservative too. It's both. All right.
Count on some sort of infighting between online conservatives.
This time, the verbal scuffle is between Daily Wire commentator Matt Walsh and podcast host Megyn Kelly.
Apparently, It all started last year. Kelly had appeared on the Chicks on the Right podcast, where she was asked about the apparent beef.
Here is co-host Miriam Weaver asking Kelly about the situation.
They had a beef about this, and now you find some, and this drives me nuts to be forward with you. You find some conservative men tripling down against anybody and becoming woke right. And I know it makes some of you mad when I say that, but you see it. They become so right. And I mean right-leaning, not right as incorrect. So right that if you don't think exactly how they think, they're basically being just like the left. Right? You must think exactly how I think. If you don't, you're wrong. The Ben Shapiro's of the world. You think about you must agree with everything I say or you're evil or bad or wrong. They're becoming the same.
In 2024.
There was some controversy happening at the time with Matt Walsh. And I know you had a beef with him recently on Twitter. He's always been the same guy when it comes to women have their place and that needs to be at home and they shouldn't have careers and all that stuff. And I remember that I asked you about it in that show and you said, I just know that having a career and family, having that career makes me the best version of myself for my family.
Now, there is nothing wrong with her saying, I believe that, and I think for some women that's true. Some women want both. Some women don't want families. Some women just want to work and be the boss babe. Some women want to be stay-at-home moms and not be in the workforce at all. I have no problem with any of that. None. The only issue I have is clearly Megyn is a conservative woman. Clearly. If you're a conservative man, why are you taking a dump on her? Because you aren't conservative enough? Well, if your name is Matt Walsh, yes. Matt, leave her alone. She's one of yours. Leave her alone. It makes no sense, Matt, to bother her. Leave her alone. She's one of yours. Go yell at AOC or something. She's not one of yours. AOC's not one of yours, right? So leave her alone. But no, that's the woke right. You got to be barefoot and pregnant, or you're not good enough.
And here was Kelly's response.
Having said that, I like the guy. I'm getting a little tired of his nonstop judgment of women who make different choices than the ones he wants us to make. Sorry, Matt, you're not our Jesus. We don't answer to you. We're not judging moms who choose to stay at home and raise their kids.
Absolutely
That's a choice we celebrate. We love. Those are
Agreed.
our sisters and our friends and our moms.
Agreed. She's right? Agreed. You would think this makes sense as you're listening to it. Oh, not to Matt Walsh, though. Oh, no.
Women aren't doing this to other women for the most part. It's guys like Matt. Shut up.
Fast forward to today, and Walsh.
Yeah, but the issue that I will bring up, though, is I'll go back to the first piece, which is if you're looking for a very conservative man like a Matt Walsh, which the first woman said, he's been the same. This is what he wants. This is what he wants. So if you're a woman and you think a Matt Walsh type is an attractive man to you, you get in the kitchen. I don't mean to be mean, but that's what he wants. You're not getting him if you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, you shouldn't date a guy like Matt Walsh. So the first one was right when he says he's always been that. My point is, why does Matt have to open his mouth? Just say, this is what I prefer, and it's good. Leave it. This is the problem with the first woman, Vera. She's not saying, okay, there are very conservative men who want this kind of woman. She's saying, how dare those men exist? And this is Matt Walsh on the opposite side, on the right, going, how dare women like Megyn Kelly exist? No, Megyn Kelly is not your kind of woman. Don't marry her. Right? But she's one of yours. Why are you fighting?
She's now flipping the script on Kelly. Here he is on his show this week.
Keep in mind the language that Megyn just used. She said that I don't understand women. I'm trying to control women. I'm trying to tell women what to do.
Well, you kind of are. I mean, you kind of are, yes.
I'm trying to be Jesus? I'm trying to be the Jesus of women or whatever.
You got the beard.
I'm judging women. I'm putting up guardrails. Now,
not guardrails, but you are judging. And I'm not mad at you for judging. I don't know why you're attacking her is all I'm saying. There's far other tactics you can.
I don't think that that's an accurate characterization at all, but I do think that these terms would pretty well describe Megyn's attitude towards young men.
Kelly made some comments in a recent show with Young Turks host Anna Kasparian. Kelly said that nowadays, the young conservative women she talks to are actually having a hard time finding a man.
This is also true. Also true. This is my point. We're all finding it hard to find mates. This is exactly what Andrea said. We are on our way to being South Korea. I don't want to be South Korea. I don't like K-pop. See, I don't even want K-pop. Yes.
A lot of conservative women tend to be God-loving conservatives. And they can't find a lot of young men who want to marry a working woman now. And this is an actual problem that's coming up on the right.
Interesting. What's wrong with you? If you want a conservative man, here's the reality. And this goes back to literally what Matt was saying. A lot of these women don't necessarily want a conservative man. They want a masculine man. It is what most women want. Some don't. Some like a more gender neutral male, someone who kind of bends different ways and such. Some women like that. All good. No judgment. You do you. Most conservative women want a masculine man. That's true. Well, most masculine men in today's world, and that wasn't always true, but look at today's world. Why? Because the left and liberalism is completely feminized. It is. You can be, if you lean left or you're liberal listening to this, you can be mad at me, but you know it's true. Democratic Party is the party of educated women. That's who it is. It targets educated women. It is connected to educated women. That's what it is. right? That's what it is. So of course you go towards Trump, who's the alpha male, and I'm going to go get him. Of course. This is our society now. Why are you shocked? If you want a masculine man, the odds are he's going to lean right. That's men in general in America are leaning right. It's worse in South Korea and getting further. And more men are starting to lean right. Now, black men are starting to lean right. That wasn't a thing for decades. That's a thing now. Black men are starting to lean right. Hispanic men have been leaning right for years. That's already been a trend. Now, it's a bit worse trend if you're a Democrat for black men. Of course that's going to happen. And my point is, so what? In 2016, my wife, at that time, voted for Hillary Clinton. Yes, some of you just threw up. I know. She did. Proudly, aggressively, happily voted for her. I sure as hell didn't. Did I leave her because of it? Did we fight over it? No. Why do you care? Why do you care? I don't mean to be silly with this. And you can care, right? I mean, there should be no law or rule. If you really need to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or wife who thinks exactly like you do, good luck, I guess. But in today's world where we all struggle to find each other, why would you make that a reason? Why would that be a reason? Why would that? So your boyfriend or your girlfriend votes the opposite of you. So throw them out of bed now. I used to like you, but you voted for Trump, so you got to go. I used to like you, but you voted for Harris, so pack your trash. That's where we are now.
And to me, it's so sad because it's like, how did we get to the point where we're now telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not attractive if they also work?
That's not true. And I want to be clear about this. That isn't true. For those, this is a story women tell themselves. And if you're a young woman looking for a man, please hear me. That is not true. That's a story women made up. It's not that you're not attractive because you work. That's not why. Men don't care if you work. I'm going to say it again. They don't care if you work. They actually don't. What they care is, what is your priority and are you pleasant? Those two things. What's your priority and are you pleasant? People tell me all the time when I talk to people. I've done a lot of, you guys know, I've done a lot of couples work. I can't say I'm a therapist because that's against the law in New York. You have to be licensed to be a therapist. So I'm not a therapist. I do couples work, whatever that is. And I'll hear women say, my husband hates my job. He hates that I work. I say, he does? Yeah, he hates that I work. So let me ask you a question. When you come home from work, when you come home, do you often talk about your job? Yeah, all the time. You complain? Yeah, that's what he hates. He doesn't hate your job. He hates that you don't like your job. Well, I don't like my job. Yes, that's why he hates it. Well, I have to for the money. He doesn't care about that. He cares that whenever you come home, and he comes home too, you're in a crappy mood because you don't want to work and you don't like your job. That's what he hates. He doesn't care if you work. If you came home from a job that you loved and you were happy and excited and you liked what you did and you came home talking great stories about how your job was awesome, he would love your job. He hates it because you're always in a shitty mood. He hates the fact you're in a shitty mood. He doesn't care if you have a job or not. If you stay home, good. You don't stay home, good. He doesn't care. Most men don't care about that. They just don't. And you can say that's true. Most men don't care. Women take that as, he hates my job. He doesn't. He doesn't care. The problem is women care if a man works and what he does. Men don't. How do I know that? Because Jay-Z would pick up Beyonce if she was flipping the burgers in Burger King. There is no way Beyonce picks up Jay-Z if he's flipping burgers at Burger King. Sorry. Just no way. No way. That's how that works. That's the reality of life. That's all I'm saying. So you can have a job. Men don't care. Are you coming home yelling and screaming because you hate your job? Well, he doesn't want that. Well, we don't have enough money. Well, then you got to change something in your life or you're going to lose him. That's how it's going to work. You got to pick. He's going to make more money or you got to change your job or change your lifestyle. Something's going to happen or it's over. And sadly, it's usually just over. That's the point. They don't make any changes. It's just over. Second part, what's your priority? Are you more concerned with what your boss says or what your family needs? What your boss needs or what your family needs? If you're more concerned about what your boss needs than what your family needs, then man, it's going to be unhappy. If he's a conservative male, again, we're talking about conservative men. This is the subset I'm discussing. conservative men. If he is a conservative man, he wants your priority to be family, not job. Doesn't mean you can't have a job. But if you have to be the boss, babe, and you got to be working on the weekends and you're at the behest of your bosses, he doesn't like that. He wants the family to be your priority. That's what he cares about if he's a conservative man. If you're saying, well, Larry, I don't want that, then you don't actually want a conservative man then. If you want a conservative man, that is what he is going to want. You then don't want a conservative man. You want somebody else, which is okay. You can do what you want, but this is not a shocker. It's not a shocker.
As a result, Walsh is saying that while Kelly is accusing him of not understanding women, she doesn't seem, in his view, to understand men. Here's Walsh explaining the gist of his argument.
Men and women are different. They are looking for different things.
It's not wrong.
A man might be attracted to a woman with a career, but he's not going to be attracted to her because of her career.
Also
and a woman who puts her career before anything, a woman who prioritizes her professional ambitions above all else, will be very unappealing to the vast majority of men. And I know that might be upsetting for you to hear, Megan,
He's not wrong.
It's just true.
All right, so let's sum this.
He's not wrong. I'm just saying he's not wrong, right? That he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
It's all up. Kelly says that Walsh shouldn't tell women how to live their lives and that women should be career-oriented if they want to. She also says that many young conservative women she talks to can't find a man who wants a career-oriented woman.
Walsh, on the other hand, claims that men aren't attracted to women primarily because of how successful they are in their careers, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be ambitious. This, Walsh says, is a fundamental difference between what attracts men and women to each.
And that is a problem. You hear people, women particularly, all the time. You hear them say this all the time. I know all my friends, they are such amazing women. They have amazing careers, no man cares. They make tons of money, no man cares. They're all educated, no man cares. So the things that the women are saying why the women are so great, men don't care. They're not, and women take that as, well, you're intimidated, or we're not intimidated. Stop that. That's another story women just tell each other. We're not. That's not a thing. We're not intimidated by you. We're not. We're not attracted to you because those things don't matter to us. We're not against them. You can do all those things. But I go back to my same two things. Are you in a good mood? What's your priority? And if you want your priorities to be work, that's okay. If you want your boss to be your priority, that's fine. A lot of men are going to go, well, I don't want to be in that world. Right? I don't want to be in that world. It's fine. Good luck. Hang out and be the boss, babe. I want a woman who's going to be around me. That's fine. And then you want different things. Why are we angry at this? This is my point. We're angry at this. It's just makes sense. Accept one or the other. Deal with it any way you want, and you'll be fine. It's fine. But we're mad at each other. Not just that. Women will say, education. Men don't care if you're educated. It's nice. It's a bonus, but it doesn't make me think you're better or worse. We don't care. We want you to be be nice. I want you to be nice. When something goes wrong in a relationship, I don't want you to immediately go to insults, which so many women do. Oh my God, so many women, right to insults. I want you to talk it out with me. That's what I would like. It's not much to ask for. As you've heard me say before, men don't want 10s. Men want to sleep with 10s. They don't want 10s. They're happy with 7s, 8s, 9s. They're happy with 6s. Make me a priority in your life. Not number one. The kids are number one. The house is number two. I go number 3. Make me like in the top 5 of your priorities. Do that and be nice. And we're good. That's pretty much. And if you're a man listening to me, you tell me if I'm wrong. Just be like a 6 or above. That's it. That's all. Be nice and make me one of your priorities in your life. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. That's the average male. Now, the guys who are the top 10 males, they're going to use and abuse everybody. Everybody. And sadly, so many women keep falling for them. But they're just going to use and abuse. I'm talking to average men. So anyway, I've been yapping on. Let me finish this piece up.
Well, Amber, let me before I turn this over to you, say something that I have never said on this show,
Please.
which is I agree with Megyn Kelly. Yeah, that is very, very rare for me to be in that position. But I want to hear what you think of all this.
Listen to what she says now.
Okay, so oh gosh, like I feel like I'm gonna run headfirst into barbed wire here, but I actually tend to agree with Matt Walsh on this.
See, there we go. It's going to be disagreement.
I know. Okay, so I love Megyn Kelly, and I think it's absolutely the case that, you know, there are women who value and prioritize their career over all else, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's their choice to make. But I do think Matt has a point when he says that men are not primarily attracted to women because of their job title or the amount of money that they make. And I think it can be unappealing to the type of men who want to get married and have children to know that perhaps their wife would not step away from a career to help raise the children, or would be reluctant to stay home as a stay-at-home mom. And I think that's just...
This is what conservative men want, right? Now, people think I'm conservative. I'm not. I'm not. When I got married in 2002, my wife made more money than me. I didn't care. I didn't care if she was a stay-at-home mom or not. I didn't care. I'm not a particularly conservative man. Ask Mike. Mike knows me better than probably most people in his chat. Mike, I'm not a conservative guy. I'm not. I just respect conservatives. And I respect everybody. I respect the lefties too. Have you seen me? I respect them all. I respect people. I don't assume they're bad. I assume you're trying to do what you think is best for you. That's my assumption. Now, some people prove that I'm wrong. That's fine. But I make the assumption that you're doing what you think is best. So yes. So Garrett says, spot on, Larry. Even a fool with a good personality is good for some men. True. Yes. Mike says, very true. Yes, absolutely. Morgan says, are you saying fives and below don't deserve a healthy relationship? I didn't say that. I never said that. Why would I say that? Stop that, Morgan. Don't be one of them. Don't straw man me. Don't be one of them. What I'm saying, Morgan, is for most men, they want a 6 or above. That's what I'm saying. Now, to Garrett, would they take a 3? They would. They would. But to be forward with you, and you know this, Morgan, it isn't what they deserve. Deserve is irrelevant. Let's be very clear. And be very clear. The world is not fair. And it doesn't happen because you want it to be fair. And no one deserves anything. That's a story that women also tell themselves. I deserve better. No one deserves shit. You don't, I don't, nobody does. Now, how that works. Now, I'm not saying they deserve or don't deserve. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is most men are going to look for 6 and above. Will they take 4s and 3s? Yeah, some men will. Of course they will. Women won't. But men will. Of course they will. Matt says it. Good personality adds 2-3 points. Yes. So if you're a 3, great personality, you become a 6, you're in. Done. Matt says it goes on 6, amazing, bump to 8 or 9. Yes. Totally true. Absolutely. Mike says 7 or 8. More just pure trouble, not worth it. Yes. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely true. It's the way it works. And again, I'm talking for men, particularly conservative men, but men in general, but particularly conservative men. Now, all I'm saying is women should understand this when they're picking and going after men. That's all I'm saying. Not every woman even wants a man. Some women don't want a relationship. And then what do you care? You don't want it. Good for you. Right? Good for you. So yes. John says, thanks for being a member, John. Larry, I have no doubt that Megyn is a wonderful, delightful wife. And when she's having a bad hair day in my mind, she turns to Will Ferrell from Old School. And I bet her husband still loves her. I bet he does. And if they're happy, great. Great. Yes. Liberty Death says, I don't care what a woman does for work. Yep. We can't date if you're taking your clothes off to make a living, however. Agreed. And it's the second piece. You find a lot of women who fall into that world, whether on purpose or by mistake, who fall into that world, they get angry and they insult men. Why would you? It's just work, blah, 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 insult men. You could insult men all day long. You can if you want to. It doesn't change anything. A man that you want, if you are in that trade, is probably not going to make you a wife. You have to accept that as true. So you have to either you have to lower your standards, queen, is option 1 if you're in that field. If you're in that field, or accept you're not going to have a long-term relationship. Both of those are possible. Take your pick. It's okay. So yeah. They're both the thing. So anyway, she actually agrees
The
with us.
reality of biological differences.
I think we're all going to run into barbed.
He doesn't like this one. He doesn't like it because he's a left-leaning male. He doesn't want to accept reality because that's not the talking point. So he changes that. It's not worth it though. The last piece I'll bring up is this is her actually going on a podcast. The first woman, Vera, talking about what she did and actually coming clean on things, which is funny. So, yeah, but before I go there, let me grab a couple more comments. There's a bunch of comments popping up here, if I can. I'm looking over at Rumble, and Joel says, masculine like Tim Waltz in his head. Yes, I think that's yeah, people do care about that. Yes. Cheese over on Instagram says, political affiliation is a preference in dating apps now. I know. Why? Guys, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Just drives me crazy. Yes. James says, what about conservative women dating liberal men? You could find that. You can. If the liberal men are wealthy and hot. I'm not joking. You can find that. Women will, and this has happened, well, and there's data on this. I'm not joking. There's data on this. Women will actually, for the right man, they will change their political views. If you think I'm making it up, a simple Google search will show it. It's true. So if he's wealthy enough and hot enough, yes, conservative women will become liberal. Yes, absolutely. That will absolutely happen. They will, for the right man, they will absolutely do it. You got to be a 10. Now, the problem is, does a liberal man want a conservative woman? Generally speaking, yes. Yes. Generally speaking, yes, they do. Right? Yes. So absolutely. It's very true. Men are much more likely to chase conservative women than liberal women. I'm sorry. It's not true. Sorry. Let me change that. Men who are looking for relationship are much more likely to go after a conservative woman than a liberal one. Relationships, right? The stereotypical woman, liberal woman who has the blue hair and the nose ring, and that's a stereotype, right? Men who are in any way, I see it in the city, and here I'm talking about a subset of urban men. I don't know how it works out in the rural areas or suburbia. I'm talking about urban men who live in cities, who make lots of money, who are very attractive, both physically, financially, status-wise, those types of men. They see a woman like that as, easy to get in bed. That's how they see her. They're not looking to marry her. They're not looking to be, they're looking to get her in bed. Look, that's what they're looking for. When they are looking to settle down, they're very often looking for conservative women. It's very common. It's a common thing here in the city. Very common. So yeah, I can't speak outside the city. I know what happens here. I don't know what happens outside. I don't really know. So anyway, all righty. Garrett says, wait, what? How is that true with all the international stars in the UFC? It's not, Garrett. They made it up. It's not. You're right. They made that up. Yes. They literally just made that up. Yes. So Super Weapon says, retarded is for voting class, handy-capable members of society, completely valid. There we go. Yes. Missy says, I love Kevin Samuels. He's a black man. I'm a white woman. I'm also not a feminist. There we go. There we go. Liberty says, right of center men don't want to be pegged by a woman, so therefore they must be fascists. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yes. Yeah, that's very funny. All righty. Let me grab a couple more of these. Mike says, notice that black men are vilified and applauded for being criminals. Others rejected. White men are told to be socially women. In each case, ideology pushes the least wanted outcome. But what's the goal? Ooh. The goal is for us to be broken and rely upon government. And it's working, sadly, Mike. I wish it wasn't working, but it's working. Now, luckily, there is a backlash, which I'm happy about. There is. So, yes. Shelley says, this generation has been taught that they have to be in an echo chamber relationship to avoid fighting. And it makes relationships something other than a relationship. True. Yes. Absolutely. Liberty Death says, regardless of political identity, what man doesn't want a submissive woman? Well, the problem with what you're asking is, what does submissive mean? Right? What I know men don't want is a woman who competes with them. That they don't want. Now, does that mean they necessarily want someone submissive? I think some men do. I think it's true. Some men do. But what I know men don't want, and this is a problem that it's funny. A woman, what was her name? She was a comedian and she talked about a couple years back. Whitney Cummings. She had a relationship with a man that she was very happy with. She really loved him. And she's talking about how it failed. And she actually did something which is very rare. She took responsibility herself for the errors. What? She did. And she said, I was very mistaken. She said, I thought that a man wanted to come home to an equal partner who would challenge him. And that I'd be a challenge for him when he got home and that he would want that. And I found that he doesn't want that at all. No men want that. No men want that. I've heard women tell me this. No, Larry, what men want is an equal partner. No, they don't. They don't care. It's not a thing. You don't have to be unequal, but we just don't care. It's not a thing. We don't care. If you're equal, good. If you're not equal, good. We don't care. So, but when we come home, we don't want to come home and then have to be challenged and fight and compete with our mate. We don't want that. If we do that, then we don't come home. And we wonder why men don't come home or go out with their boys all the time. Because when they're home, it's a competition. We don't want that. But do some want submissive? Yes. And is submissive to the point where you do everything he says? I think some men want that, but I think, to be forward, I think most, particularly American men, I think most American men don't want that. What they don't want is women's going to fight him on everything. And there are so many women today, I see all the time, who are so prideful that they see the idea of just going, yeah, fine, whatever. They see that as making themselves lower. And then when the man says it, they see it as some form of belittling. Right? So if a woman says, hey, I want to go to this place, the man goes, okay. They go, oh, what do you mean? Now it's like, oh, now you don't care? Why don't you care? Why aren't you fighting me? Because I don't want to fight you. Or the reverse, when a man says, let's go here, and they go, no, have you thought of this? He's like, I just want to go here. Stop fighting me. That is where you see a back and forth, right? That a lot of men don't want to deal with. And I think that's an issue. A lot of women see it a different way. The connection isn't there. And so when you say submissive, you're going to find a lot of women think, wait a minute, you want me to be beneath my husband. Some men want that. More conservative men tend to want that more. But I would think most men actually don't want that. They just want a woman who's not going to compete and fight them. And there's a difference. Hope that makes sense. So Shelley goes on and says, I feel like I don't want to discuss the submission issue until we remove the incorrect assumption that submission means obedience. Thank you. Thank you. Shelley, she shares with me. It doesn't necessarily mean submission. Obedience. It means don't fight on everything. I think that's what it means. That's how I see it, at least. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. Just don't fight on everything. And I think a lot of women see that as if I'm not fighting, I'm not standing up for my rights. I'm not, all those things, right? And I think that's a key issue. So, yes. All righty. Phil says Joe Rogan's practically a feminist. I know. It's kind of weird how they made him bad now too. So yeah, it's bad. It really is bad. Missy says something important. She goes, double check that you're subscribed. YouTube has been roundly unsubscribing people. Hit the notification bell also. Thanks. With a bell, guys. Please do that. Click the button known as like. I ask all the time. I have one thing I want to show you still. I'm still going here. Also repost it. If you haven't reposted it, please repost this. I know I ask you all the time. Why? Because I want this to grow. If you guys don't repost this and share this, we're not going to grow. You can see how Mr. Rhythm is hurting us. He goes out of his way to hurt us. So please repost this. Follow me on Facebook, X, and Rumble. If you have not subscribed to Sharpe Way YouTube, why do you hate the children? Why do you want to become South Korea? You want to become South Korea if you don't do that. So please head on over to Sharpe Way on YouTube. Click subscribe on notifications. Head over to Rumble. Follow me on Rumble. It's Larry Sharpe on Rumble. Please do that. It does matter. Everyone counts. If you want your chat to go to the front right away, rant me or super chat me. Either one. Rant me on Rumble or super chat me on YouTube. Either way, it's all good. If you can swing it, guys, become a member. $49 per month. Click that join button. Larry, it's $5. I know it's $5. It's a cup of coffee, and I'm worth a cup of coffee in New York City. I am. Why? I'm good looking and I'm smart. Well, good looking at least. Well, yeah, at least that. It's something. It does matter. So yes, do that. Please do that if you can. If you can, do it on Rumble and or YouTube, whatever's better. The more time the more subs I have, then the less work I have to do, the more I can do this. I can do this every damn day, which is what I would like to do, to spend more time doing this. It would be more important if I could. So thank you guys for your support. All those who are members, I try to grab members when I can. And if you are a member, I'll be doing a members show coming up here in a couple of weeks. You can come on the show, literally come on the show, chat with me about whatever you want, and everyone will see your face if you want them to see your face. And now you're rocking and rolling. All good. Matt, coming in hot, doing his Garrett impression. I love it. 5 Sharpe memberships. Guys, grab us membership if you could. Matt, thank you. You are the man. I appreciate it. It does matter tremendously. Every little bit counts. Please jump on there. I appreciate it. So, yes. All righty. Liberty Odette says, back in my player days, I used to sleep with a lot of women who were married or in a relationship. They were by far the easiest to tag and bag. Ouch, that sounds horrible. But I'm going to come clean, Liberty Death. I did the same. I am not proud of that, though, to be very forward. I've actually told my daughters that, and I'm not proud of that. I validated my bad behavior, which it is bad behavior because I knew these women were married and I slept with them anyway. But I did it. I am ashamed of that, but I don't hide it because I validated my bad behavior by saying, well, they would have slept with somebody anyway, so it might as well be me. Not valid. But that's what I told myself. That was the story I told myself to validate my bad behavior, my selfish bad behavior. And that's what that was. It was selfish bad behavior. But I did it too, because you're right. The sad part is you're right. Married women were the easiest to sleep with. You're totally correct. I wish it wasn't the easiest to, because if you're a married woman, you can come up to her and be very forward, and she will do one of two things. She will tell you she's married right away and push you away, or you're going to have sex with her at night. That's the advantage. You're getting pushed away immediately, wasting no time. Liberty Death will tell you that's true immediately, or you're sleeping with her at night. That's how that works. I know I've done it. It's how it works. It is that simple. You see the ring on their finger, go after them. It's black or white, day or night, within 5 minutes. You know what's going to happen within 5 minutes. You're not wrong. It's true. And think about this. Every single cool romance movie or novel, it's about cheating. Women cheat. She's in a bad relationship and someone's going to save him. She's betrothed to some guy and then the other guy's going to come take her away. Yeah, it's true. I wish you were wrong, but you're right. So anyway, all righty. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. You guys have so many of these. All right, Andrea. Oh, answering to Kim. She goes, my mom stayed in her marriage in spite of her happiness. My dad left her in shambles as she sacrificed him. Oh, it's terrible. See, I'm not sure. I know, Andrea, that's a saying. I'm not sure how true it is. I think it's truer today than it was. That's what I would say. And I think part of that is just logical. What I mean by that is years ago, a woman really couldn't leave her marriage because she was unable to defend herself. She was able to go out and make money and such. So I think you probably had more women years ago who would have stayed because of fear. Today's the opposite. Women are making more money than men, easily can live on their own, don't need a man for those types of things. So they're freer to do that, which I think is one of the reasons why you have that. But I don't know if it's the only one. But I think statistically, much more. Statistically. So yes. Let's see. Liberty Death goes on. Liberty Death, you got a lot to say tonight. Yep, that happened to my cousin. He caught his wife talking to another dude, confronted her about it, and she kicked him out of the house and took half of his S in divorce family court. This is in New York. Yeah, New York is terrible to men. There's thousands of men torn apart, women lying. The New York judges are terrible. It's true. It's horrible. You're totally correct. Yes. Andrea says, I feel you should never put yourself in a situation where cheating could happen. As a married woman, I'm trying to be alone with a man. Let me bring that piece up. Repeat it because it matters. She says, I feel you should never put yourself in a situation where cheating could happen. As a married woman, I try not to be alone with a man. People teased Mike Pence. Remember that, Andrea? He had rules on when he could see women and such. I have the same rules being married. The same rules. I guess I'm Mike Pence. Maybe I'm more conservative than I thought I am. Maybe I am. You will not see me married as with a woman at night together at a bar or a club. Dinner? Nope. It's breakfast, lunch, or we're not alone. That's it. You might go, Larry, that's crazy. I'm not getting in the spot. To your point, Andrea, I'm not saying everyone wants to be with me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not going to find out. That's what I'm saying. Maybe none of them want to be with me. Maybe all of them do. Maybe a certain percentage do. I don't know. I'm not finding out. I'm with you, Andrea. I keep the same type of Mike Pence rules. Same type. I agree with you. I'm not going to find out. Maybe none of them want me. Maybe all of them do. I'm never going to know. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally with you. I completely agree. So yes. Any case, Phil says, the New York Post had an article about Gen Z going towards Catholicism because of a desire for structure and meaning, especially after the pandemic. It's true. I did a whole show on it. Catholicism and Orthodox growth as well as Islam. And most people going to Islam, are women. Women are rushing to Islam. It's true. 4-1 in America, I think, and like 8-1 in UK or something like that. It's crazy. And this is conversions, not new people coming in. This is conversions. That's the issue. Yes. All right. Swinbot says, why does I need to be helped into Al Gore rhythm? Because I've been banned, the shadow type, for a long time, ever since I was against the lockdowns, right? Ever since I was against the lockdowns. Yes, I was. Yeah, 100%. Yes. All right. Phil goes on to say, oh, Andrea, smart. Billy Graham popularized that rule. It's important not to even allow people to make an accusation. Correct. They can accuse me all day long. They can. You were with that woman. Where? There's cameras. Show me. Show me. Yep. Not going to happen. Yes. IC says, Matt Walsh is ultra-conservative. They would expect their women to be stay-at-home mom. Correct. Yes. Yes. IC goes on to say, Megyn Kelly is a modern conservative. They marry feminist ideology with conservative values. Yeah. And my point is, yes, but why are you mad at it? Yes, you're right. Why is he mad? He should leave her alone. Right? She's still conservative. Leave her alone. Go yell at AOC or something. Go yell at, I don't know, Elizabeth Warren. There's tons of people you could attack. Why are you attacking your own? Leave her alone. I don't get it. It makes no sense. Right? And again, if you want to date a guy like Matt Walsh, what do you expect? Right? What do you expect? There we go. So anyway, let me keep going on if I can. All righty. Let me keep going if I can. Lunatic is here. He came in. I appreciate that. Lunatic says, I'm not afraid of violence. I know. We shouldn't be. As men, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't want it. We should not go towards it. I don't. Violence to me is absolutely the absolute last answer. I do not want to be violent. I'm a pacifist in war. I'm a pacifist personally. I don't take things seriously when people get aggressive. I walk away first. If I ever get into a fist fight again, if I ever do, and I might, if I ever do, you can guarantee someone was really aggressive with me, like trying to hurt my kids or something like that, right? If I ever get into a fist fight ever, I hope I'm never in a fist fight ever again. I hope I never am. But if I have to be in one, you know, a whole lot happened. Kay John says, Matt Walsh thinks The Handmaid's Tale is a how-to manual. Correct. Which is why I'm saying, why are you surprised? Why is Megyn and Anna surprised at this? That's my point. Why are they surprised? There's no reason to be surprised, right? It's clear that's who they are. It's clear that's what they want. You should not be surprised at this. So, yeah. All right. I do want to grab a couple more, if I could, a little bit of this other piece. She went on a podcast, and she's talking about the issue itself. And you listen to people on the podcast. This woman is a self-proclaimed dating coach or something, or I forgot what she is. Matchmaker. She's a self-proclaimed matchmaker. Here she is.
So you went undercover on a dating app.
You went undercover?
Yes. So I spent 2024 undercover on a conservative dating app, going on dates with far-right men, like the spectrum of far right, to profile them, to basically understand what creates that belief system.
You see that part? So did she say that specifically on CNN that clearly? No. Or if she did, they didn't show it. Of course, the men she went after are the way they are. She literally went for that group of men. She went on a conservative dating site. She said it. and then looked for the furthest right guys. What did you think was going to pop up? Right? So then why would you be angry? This is my other point. Why are you angry? You went looking for that and you found it. Oh, I can't believe I found it. You went looking for it.
Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker pod. I'm your host, Matchmaker Maria. And while I have you, if you are a new listener and you're not doing this yet, I need you to go to Instagram and follow me. And
I agree. Go to Instagram and follow me on Instagram. She's right. Follow me.
Matchmaker Maria. And while you're there, subscribe to the podcast too. Ask a Matchmaker.
Larry Sharpe. Do that.
All right. That's enough of that. I am so happy to welcome April's co-host back to the show. Jesse, couldn't scare you off?
No.
Even though you've got a homework assignment of flirting and going out and...
So flirting and going out is her homework assignment. That's how matchmakers work. Flirting and going out.
Swiping on people who look like hipsters, I guess. In the year of our Lord 2025.
I'm being strong.
You're doing it.
I'm being courageous.
She's doing it, and she's going to give us an update next week.
Go, Queen.
I'm so excited for this update. Let me introduce you to this week's guest. We've got Vera Papisova. She is a journalist and an award-winning magazine editor.
Sadly, that's true.
And she's got tea for us because before I get Vera to say hello, I just want to say that in a recent episode, we talked about red pill content and the rise of conservative dating trends. And holy hell, I don't know what happened, but the amount of hate that was directed at myself.
What would you think? Why would you think?
And my co-host for the month of March was insane.
What is happening with men?
What is happening with men?
Repercussions that...
She says red pill content ruined my relationship. It was red pill content. Something else ruined her relationship.
Red pill content have on men.
Red pill content, which refers to right-wing content, often male-focused online material, especially around gender and relationships.
I had no idea that the online gambling, the FanDuel, the DraftKings was running y'all's pockets that way.
What's happening?
Why would you be bothered by this if you were a male? Two reasons why you'd be bothered by this. Say why I'm bothered by it. The other reason I wouldn't be bothered by it, but this is one I am bothered by. The first one is there's no point in any of this where someone says, why don't they like us anymore? This is the same thing as saying, no one's buying my cups. Why are people stupid? Instead of saying, maybe they don't like your cups. Maybe you should have a different kind of cup. Maybe your price is too high. Maybe your cup's too big. Maybe your cup's too small. Maybe your cup's in the wrong place. No. Why are people stupid? Because they won't buy my cups. Now, maybe I'm selling it the wrong way. Maybe my cups suck. Where is the women saying, why do they don't like us anymore? Why is there literally a group of men who are joining up and are open to groups of men who hate women? Why is that true? What is our responsibility in this? Again, everything's 50-50. This is men and women. I'm not blaming only men. I'm not blaming only women. They're only blaming men. That's the problem. At no point do they look inside at all. And this is the opposite of red pill content. The opposite of red pill content is this person, Maria, whatever her name is. She's the opposite. She is the reason why she and her ilk and Vera, who literally goes in and uses men who uses men and messes with their heartstrings for her career. This is the opposite of red pill.
With men, why are they turning to red pill content? Why are they turning to betting?
The first thing that women judge any man they've ever met within 4 seconds is...
So they get to judge. She said it. We get to judge. Now, don't let a man judge a woman. Don't let a man say, she's not what I want. He's evil. He's mean. But she gets to judge right away. What's the first thing that she says in seconds? What?
Is this man a creep?
Yep.
Is this man
a creep? Yes. That's looks. Is he hot? Is he safe?
Safety is number one. It's not like...
That's a lie. Stop it. Stop lying. This is women lying to themselves again. Stop it. Women love dangerous men. Love them. Women literally write love letters to mass murderers in prison. Literally write love letters to mass murderers in prison. This idea of women came out to say, stop that. That they love dangerous men. In fact, they throw themselves at dangerous men. This is stories they tell each other. It's utterly not true.
Are they fuckable?
No.
Yes, that's your number one. That's what you care about.
Well, when you think about the number one risk in a woman's life is who she marries. Whereas like
that's the number one risk is who she marries. She made that up. Utterly not true. It's not number one risk. How many women are destroyed by marriage compared to men? It's not even close. It's not even, don't get me wrong, women are destroyed by marriage too. They are. They're destroyed by marriage. They are. But relative to, she's saying it's worse than men. Stop that. That's a lie. Why are men not getting married anymore? Women still want to get married. Men don't. Why? Because it's worse for us than it is for women. Are you high? This is some special woman. She's the matchmaker, whatever. This is the opposite of red pill content. And women are watching this thinking, yeah, you go, queen. And she's giving them nothing but garbage. Lies, garbage. She's making things worse. She's made up all of that. What they just said, all stuff made up. None of it's true.
for men, it's like what? Heart disease?
Oh my God.
Look, laughing at men. Imagine men doing this. In fact, that's what red pill content is. Red pill content is the opposite. It's men laughing at women and how silly they are. And they're attacking red pill being the opposite of red pill. She laughed at men dying of heart attacks. She's laughing.
This is an unequal playing field.
Yes, it's not by men. The unequal parts of women.
I don't know if it got posted on some.
I want to be clear on this. In today's world, romantically, women have all the advantages. It's not even close. It's look at the swipe data on the apps. Look at marriage rates. Women have all the advantages. It's not
Reddit feed or whatever, but there were thousands of men telling me to die, to go get an abortion, even though I'm not pregnant.
But that's bad. Look, the men who are broken, while I feel for them, I do. They should not be the way they are. And this is why I'm more worried about men than women. Why? Not because I think either is better or worse, but the repercussions of broken men versus broken women are far worse. When women are upset and angry and bothered and happy, you know, they go on TikTok and cry or get mad or yell on TikTok or whatever. They do that. They abandon men or whatever they do. That's their response to that. When men feel that way, they're violent. They're violent. Women aren't. I mean, there's some violence, but percentage-wise, not even close. Men are violent. They're the ones who are actually harming people. They're the ones who are going to build the camps. You know what I'm talking about? Those women don't build the camps. Men do. Women don't put people in the camps. Men do. Women don't do the mass, you know what? Unaliving. Men do. This is why it's worse. I'm more worried about men than I am women, not because we aren't both in trouble, because we clearly are. It's because the outcome of broken men is far worse for society than the outcome of broken women. That's the reason why. So if you want, that's my logic. Whether you agree with me or not, at least you understand my logic. So yes. So, all right, let me grab a couple of these. Ron agrees with me. He says, submissive to one's every whim. Nope. I agree. I don't think most men want that. Don't get me wrong. Probably Matt Walsh does. He probably does. But I think most men don't want that. Nope, that gets boring after a while. Able to enjoy the company and have common goals. Yes, there's the point. Enjoy each other's company. I want to look forward to being with my woman. That's what I want. And I think the 99.9% of men will think exactly that way. I want to look forward to being with my woman. That's what I want. I want to be there. I want her to be in a good mood or positive or whatever. If she cooks, awesome. She doesn't, awesome. She works, awesome. Doesn't, awesome. Oh, these are all good things. Great. She's educated, great. Not great. All good. None of those are bad. It's fine. If it makes her, to Megan's point, if you having a job makes you feel better about yourself so that you are now a better with me, have a job, please. If the job makes you angry and upset and bothered, please don't have a job or change your job. That's how a man looks at this. Ron's with me. I'm with you. That's what we care about. That's what we care about. Yes. Ron goes on to say, I always felt that a woman who displayed herself to others for money had no respect for herself and will not respect the relationship or the man she's with. I don't know if that's true, but I agree with you. Most men do think that. Most men, while they would absolutely partake or enjoy in that content or with that woman physically, that's not a woman that he wants to be with. And any man who would want to be with you is a man you don't want to be with. So yes, that's the problem. It's utterly unfair. Once a woman gets into that world, she's harming herself forever, right? Forever. She is limiting who she can be with. She's limiting what's going to happen to her. She's limiting how happy she can be. And I know that's utterly unfair and still absolutely true. Yes, it's absolutely true. And I know it sounds, bad, but yeah, absolutely. Lydia Des says, the line for submissive moves depending upon the person, but the man wants to be the man in the relationship. That's true. You're right. Look, I will say this. Women I have 2 daughters, and they've asked me these questions. They're like, Daddy, what does a man really want? And I say the same thing every single time. Liberty or death, you are correct. A man wants to feel like a man. A man wants to feel needed. He wants to feel valued. That's what he wants. That's why do you think so many people, so many men go for women who aren't the boss babe? So many of them do. Why? Because they feel needed. And women go, he's intimidated by me because I don't need him. No, he doesn't feel like a man around you. That's why he doesn't like you. He's not intimidated. He doesn't like you because you don't make him feel like a man. He feels unnecessary. Women actually say this all the time. I don't need a man. I want a man. Well, then I don't want to be around you then. Why would I want to? You don't need me. I want to feel needed. That's what I want. Well, now you're insecure. No, I'm a man and men want to be needed. I can say something about you. You want to be complimented, don't you? If you're a woman, you want to be complimented. I do. You're insecure. No, you're a woman. You want to be complimented. Yes. It's just human nature. But do men immediately go to, you're insecure? Of course not. They say you want to be complimented. So they compliment you. Well, the reverse should be true. I want to feel needed. So need me. Right? It's not crazy. But that's it. You're right. Men want to feel needed. They want to feel needed. And if you're a woman, I would say this, if you're a woman looking for a relationship, even though you don't need a man, because you don't, to be forward, you could survive on your own in America. You do not require a man. I get that. We all get that. It's true. I wouldn't say it if I were you. I'd keep that to myself. That's my opinion. You do you. If you are looking for a man, you want a relationship, and you're a woman, I would not say out loud that you don't need a man. Because when a man hears that, when you say it, what he hears is, I don't respect men. You didn't say that, but that's what he will hear. I know you may say it's unfair. It is unfair. It's still true. He will hear, I don't respect men, in which case you just became a fling. You became a fling in his eyes. So yes. So anyway, let me keep going on here if I can. Matt says, call me Little Garrett. Oh, I like that. That's your new rap name, Little Garrett. There we go. Yes. So John says, Larry Tennant and Bill Maher, they have Douglas Murray listed. All right, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll do a little thing. I would do more Bill Maher, but CNN, not CNN, Max is stupid. So CNN most of the time, but Max is stupid. Whenever I show anything from Max, they always pull it down. Max and CNN haven't gotten that this is stupid. If I'm showing parts of a show, I'm helping people watch the show, but they pull it down on YouTube. So I probably can't do anything about it. I'll talk about it. Maybe that's about it. So yeah, absolutely. Yes. Liberty Death says, as a now married man, I'm not proud of that either. I agree. I'm not. I say, I don't lie about my past at all. I just am honest about it. And I try to say, yes. He goes, young, dumb, and full of, well, I tried to not be full of it, but yes, correct. Oh, you also have 2 daughters. There we go. So you know exactly what I'm feeling. I agree completely. Yes, absolutely. So 100%, I do want that. So, all right. Let's see here. Let's see. Duke of Heck says, that's why the 50 Shades of Grey was so popular. Hypergamy can let an alpha pass. For those who know what that means, that's red pill talk. Hypergamy means that women will always want to date up. And here becomes a problem for women who do that. And women do that. Not all women do, but some women do want someone above them or better. And they say it. They'll say it openly. Women will say, I want a man who's educated than me, who's better, a man who makes more money than me, blah, blah. So they will openly say they want a man that in their eyes is better than them. They will say that. I'm not judging, you judge. They will openly say, they will admit they want a man who's better than them. They will say that. And when they're done saying that, they'll be mad that the man's better than them and don't want to submit to him. Well, you just said you're looking for a man better than you. You won't get a man who's not better than you, but you don't want to submit to him. Well, if he's a man who's better than you, shouldn't he be the man in the family? In theory. Now, here's the issue. If he's an alpha male, as he says, alpha pass, right? The alpha male concept, for those who don't know, is a man who is very aggressive and wealthy, and he's the 10, he's a top guy, that kind of thing. According to a Redpill, there's no such thing as bad behavior. There's only not hot guy behavior. That's what Duke is talking about. And while I don't think that's an actual general rule, I don't think that's actually true as a general rule, there's a lot of evidence that shows that for many women, particularly those who are looking for a man specifically, they will put up with a lot. If the guy's very, very, whatever is the cool thing, whatever they find valuable, right? If the woman finds height valuable, if he's tall, if she finds wealth valuable, he's wealthy, whatever. Status, if she likes status, whatever the woman finds as that, whatever she tags as valuable, if he matches those numbers and is very high in that status, he can do all types of stuff. He doesn't care. So yeah, I think there's something to that. Depends on a woman though. And I would argue something else. The most of this is true in cities. And that's because so many powerful women come to and survive in cities. So you have a massive chunk of very powerful, wealthy relatively compared to women not in cities. So a lot of that you see in cities, Atlanta, New York, LA, a lot of that in cities. You don't see it as much in rural areas or as much in suburban areas, but you see a lot in cities. It's just true. There's a different issue. So yes. Morgan says, Larry Sharpe sex scandal leaked. Not leaked, brother. Said it before. Not leaked. I say it out loud. Yes. Yeah. I never wear my wedding band unless I'm not with my wife. That's good. Yes. I know. Women do love married men too. It's true. Love married men. 100%. Yes. All the time. So Joel says, one of the perks of dating a married woman, you don't take her out in public. Well, that's the point, isn't it? The point is to fling. I dated married women because I could still look for my girlfriend while I was sleeping with the married woman. She's not looking for a boyfriend. She's got a husband. So I could get what I wanted as a 20-something. I agree with you. That's how old I was. It's 20-something. Get what I wanted. And I could still go look for a girlfriend. And whenever I got tired, I would ghost her. I know it sounds horrible, but she would ghost me too. It's not like she, was falling in love with me or something. It's not true. If she was, she didn't tell me so. But yeah, I get it completely. Again, not proud of it. I'm sure she went with someone else, but it doesn't matter. So anyway. All righty. Larry, where were you during the beginning of the feminist movement? When do you consider the feminist movement? I'm not sure. When you would think that. When that started, I don't know. You mean like the most recent one? I'm not sure. I was much more of a feminist as a teenager because I was raised by a single mom. The Marine Corps made me a bit less of a feminist because I've spent my time only around men. For my first job from 17 until 23. So I became a little bit less of a feminist in that regard. And then never really was. I'm not really a feminist. I just think people should be treated equally. I don't really, all good. In some ways, people who know me well, in some ways I am conservative in that I'm sober. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't partake in sex work. I don't do any of those types of things. Anything that would be a vice. It's not. So so when it comes to that style, I guess I'm conservative there. I don't cheat anymore. When I was a youngster, I didn't even cheat when I was a youngster. I didn't. I would be the reason why other people cheated. That I would be. But now I would never do that anymore. I would never date a married woman anymore. Unless it was like some open relationship and they all knew. Maybe then I would. But I mean, I wouldn't do that anymore. And don't cheat on my wife. Never did. So in some ways I'm conservative, I think. Other ways, you know, I don't care about gender and that stuff's all fine. I have trans friends. I call them by the pronouns they want me to call them by. Doesn't bother me at all. I have gay friends. I don't care, whatever. So that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of mixed. I don't know where I was. I try to be honest about what's happening with sex and gender in America. And the pendulum has swung too far in the opposite direction. I recognize how hard it was for women back in the 70s, 80s. I saw the shift in the 90s, in the early 2000s. And now 2010, 2020, the shift is the opposite. Women are winning in every way, shape, or form. Young women now under 30, 35, they're the most privileged group demographic we have in the country, probably the world. Particularly young white women right now. When it comes to demographics, most privileged in the world right now. And that was not always true. So I saw that change. And if you're 50, 60, 70 now, you didn't see that happen. You weren't privileged. You weren't. As a demographic, obviously, right? I mean, individual people were always privileged. Individuals were, or not, obviously. But as a demographic, if you're 50, 60, 70, 80, you weren't privileged. And you're a woman, you weren't privileged when you grew up. Now, you are. You're 18, 19, 20, 25, 30. Yeah, you are. 100% you are. And it's a whole different world. And it's a big change in 30 years. So, yeah. Anyway, let's see if I can keep going down here. Let's see here. You know what? Before I go, let me go a little bit further in this because I want to hear her talk it.
And if I was pregnant, that's my choice. Thank you. I live in New Jersey. I have rights. And it was just kind of insane to see that vitriol being towards us. And all we did in that episode was say, like, wow, some men have FanDuel on their phones and they can't afford dating.
That's not what you said. Stop. See? Not what you said. What you said was, what's wrong with men? What's wrong with men? That's what you said. They can't afford dating because they're all dusties. That's what she said. So now she's just lying.
But anyway, today we're going to dive.
Look, again, laughing at men.
Deeper into this. This is actually what inspired us to bring in this week's guest, Vera. What an intro. But I needed you to have the context as to like.
I didn't know that happened.
I'm still recovering. It happened while I was on a cruise and I didn't have that much internet. And I would turn on the internet for a minute and it would just be like, just these thousands of comments.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what exactly did we say in this episode that is causing?
And that's what bothers me is the utter lack of understanding of what you're saying and how it matters. Just not understanding it, not caring at all. But when men say it, it's bad. When men say it, shame on them. That's the part that's bad. Neither of them is good. Tukafek says women who love killers is known as hebristophilia. Not all women have it, but only women have it. There we go. Yes, so women do love dangerous men. That's for sure. They love dangerous men. Absolutely true. Yes. So, all righty. Let's see here.
Some men, the men that consume this sort of content, to talk to me like this, because there were certainly a lot of really great men who were like defending. They're like, what is wrong with you? You know, like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So you have that. And then the mix, I think, of this new show on Netflix called Adolescence. I don't know if you've caught on to it. It just came out.
Everyone's been asking me to watch that.
Yeah. And it's about, essentially, it's not a whodunit. It's of how it happened.
It's a men bad show.
Where this young boy stabs a girl to death.
Oh.
And it's, again, this consumption of a certain kind of content. And of course,
it's the content's fault. It's the content's fault. So here's the answer, guys. If we just made some laws that would make this content illegal, and the people who do it, if we just put them in jail, then things would get better. If we put those men in jail, things will be fine. That's what she's actually saying. I wish I was joking. I'm not. That's what CNN's trying to achieve. This is the same idea as hate speech is not protected speech. It's all of that stuff. Just lock people up and it'll all go away. Just don't look at the actual reasons why this is happening. That's unimportant. Just outlaw it. Just outlaw it and censor, because censorship always works. Outlawing always works, except for, oh, right, never.
Some inherent misogyny that exists in microaggressions throughout our day.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought
she just said through microaggressions, didn't she?
Aggressions throughout our day.
Hold on, I have to hear this again.
I don't know if you've caught on to it. It just came out.
Everyone's been asking me to watch that.
Yeah, and it's about, essentially, it's not a whodunit. It's of how it happened, where this young boy stabs a girl to death.
Oh.
And it's, again, this consumption of a certain kind of content, and of course some inherent misogyny that exists in microaggressions throughout our day.
The inherent misogyny that exists in microaggressions we experience throughout our day. Utter horseshit. Utter horseshit. That's nothing. Inherent misogyny that exists in microaggressions throughout the day. That's shit she just made up. That's not even a thing. Why? And they go, look at the two. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Or is it when you diss men all day long? You have a podcast that just disses men openly. She said it, not me. What's wrong with men? This woman goes out on the one on the right here, goes out, plays with men's feelings for an article she writes in Cosmopolitan, a show she now goes on for CNN, and now podcast she interviews on, and embarrasses all these men, and she's fine, but I'm worried about microaggressions. Are you high?
So I thought Vera was the perfect person to come in because she wrote this incredible article in 2024 where you went undercover
for the year,
for the year.
Throughout the whole presidential race.
You went undercover in dating.
Yes.
I need you to give us the details. Set us up here. Where are we going undercover?
So it's the year 2024, and there's a presidential election in November, and February, March.
The presidential election in November. So she wanted to be able to discredit the men who voted for Trump. That's the actual goal.
Is when I started looking. I cover the election. This would be my third presidential election that I'm.
So to be clear, she didn't say this before, did she? Now she's telling you. She's covering the election. She's a political reporter. So she decides to date conservative men to make all the people on the right and conservatives look bad. But she's a reporter. I'm not making this up. She says it.
Covering as a journalist.
That didn't come out in CNN, did it?
This year, this past election, it was harder to interview people just about the race. Like, people on the left were pretty burnt out. Like, even like activists, like big leaders in the grassroots space, like they were pretty burnt out. No one really wanted to talk about it. And then conservatives in New York City just don't want to talk to journalists at all.
Why? I wonder why. Because you might put them on CNN and make them look like white supremacists? Could that be a reason why? Because you might go on a podcast and call them names? Could that be a reason why? You're literally answering your own questions. They won't let me insult them and call them bad names, so I'm just going to lie and go undercover and play with their feelings so I can insult them and call them bad names publicly. Did I get that wrong? I think that's pretty clear, right? That is pretty clear, isn't it? That's what actually happened. So, yeah, absolutely. So, Robert says, isn't Matt Walsh the man that made a documentary called What is a Woman? Yes. And he did something, he went undercover and he couldn't get something done, whatever, as like he something like that. I forgot. He acted like he was like an independent journalist, but he wasn't. He was doing the same thing as she's doing, just wanted to make a movie to attack stuff, which is fine. You can do what you want, but at least Matt doesn't pretend. But he does bad stuff too. Anyway, the point being, yes, that's correct. So John says, history has shown us that even some of the most submissive women have known how to make their husbands do what they want. That's true. A lot of women have been able to control their men. And I think it's a self-defense mechanism. For literally thousands of years, women didn't have any real power. And if they couldn't have men do what they wanted, they couldn't get what they wanted done. So it makes sense that women would learn that skill set. When you have a society where you can't own property, obviously that's not today, right? But back in the day, women couldn't own property. Women didn't have any political power. Of course, you would learn that. And anybody would. It's one of the reasons why people would say, you know, women want sons because of misogyny. No, that's stories they tell each other. Women wanted sons because the sons would have rights and the sons could protect the women because the women had no rights. So it makes sense as a woman, you'd want to have sons. The man might leave you. The man might beat you. The man might something. Your sons are always going to love you. They're your kids. And they will also have rights. And they will also defend you against a bad husband also, which would happen back in the day. I mean, today I think it still happens even. But today women have rights and have their own political power. For thousands of years, they didn't. So it makes total sense for women to create skills to be able to control men so they can control themselves. It makes sense. That's what the environment required. So yes. So Matt says, a man wants to be the driver. I think that's often true. Yes, absolutely. I think that's often true. All righty. Let's see if I can go here.
Politics. And I think in New York, it's a pretty liberal. I mean, we're seeing New York City become more red, but it's like still.
Look at her. She's like, what? The one who loves like, what? You can't do that. Red people are evil.
Pretty taboo to be conservative here. So Republicans weren't talking to me as myself. So I was getting targeted by conservative dating apps on social media. And I started looking into them as a way to maybe just connect with people that aren't really in my social circles. Because I wanted to start talking about the election.
Why aren't they in your social circle? Isn't that weird? You see me, I know people who are hardcore left and hardcore right. They're in my social circle. I'm not a reporter. Why? You're supposed to be neutral. I'm a libertarian. I wear my libertarianism on my sleeve. And I still have hard right and hard left people who talk to me and are my friends and will come on my show and I can call up and talk to. It's weird. That might be a you problem, but you didn't see it as one. You saw it as them being the problem. They won't talk to me. That's what you saw. So yeah. Matt says alpha males are also called Chads. Correct. Chads and also Tyrones. That is the term for those who don't know Red Pill. Chads and Tyrones. That's correct. That's the terms that they often use. That is very true. Yes. So I didn't use those terms because I don't assume that everyone here knows the terms, so I didn't bother doing it. But yes, here we go. All right. John says, I have an uncle, never married, slept around a lot, even into his 60s, now 81. Finding out that one of his reasons he never married was because he inherited a family farm and didn't want to lose half of it in a divorce. Brilliant. Wow. And he slept around with mostly married women. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I get it completely. Yes.
And so I found this one app and I started going through the profiles, and it's for people who are aligned in their conservatism.
Yep.
And I started looking at the profiles, and very quickly I found very far right presenting people.
In what way?
I mean, they would literally in their dating profile write far right conspiracy theorist.
Oh.
And they would.
Okay. See, this is my problem. We don't have to loop any more of that because I think it's clear now. The problem here is not that there are people who are far right they put in a profile, far right conspiracy theorist. It's in the profile. And she goes after him and goes, I don't know why these guys are far right conspiracy theorists. It's in the profile. He's being honest. Here's the problem. It's not that, as I would say, look, that's not my kind of person. I don't want to be with them. I'm not going to date them. I don't mind that. If you don't like far right conspiracy theorists, you shouldn't date them. No problem. Excuse me. The problem is she can't believe they exist. And that's what bothers me. She thinks they don't have a right to exist. That's why we have to stop this, end this, get rid of them. We have to outlaw them, put them in jail. She thinks they're evil. She thinks they shouldn't exist. And I say, don't date that guy. You don't like that guy. Don't date him. No one's forcing you to be with this guy. But she also said and this is also the thing I didn't bring up, but there's a bunch of now videos out there talking about women who literally hate people who are conservatives. I found out he was a conservative and now I hate him. I found that he was Republican, and now I don't like him. Why? And you wonder, this woman goes, why do these men act like the liberals? Because you hate them if they don't. And they have to work with you. They don't actually want to date you. They don't like you, dating-wise. They just want to work with you and have a job and pay the bills. So they have to pretend they're liberals, or you will hate them and they can't pay their bills. So they lie. Why? You tell them to. When you create a black market, desperate people do desperate things. That's how it works. Yes, they can't all go on a podcast like this loser and just say that. Yes, I call her loser because she is. But you can't just go on a podcast with this loser and be like, I'm making money now. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. So they have to work and make money and pay their bills. And you will ostracize them, stop them from getting promotions, and probably have them fired because they voted for Trump. What she should have done an article on is just say, look at all these people. Why are they going here? What's going on? Why have they abandoned women? Why do they hate women? And then these men do hate women. That's true. Why? What have we done? What's happened in society? What's happened to us? What? No. See these men. They're all bad. Get rid of them. Outlaw the content. I would personally not like to date a woman who is super left or super right. I probably wouldn't like that. I probably wouldn't. I think I'm too moderate in my own views. I probably wouldn't want someone who's super left. Super right. I probably wouldn't. But it doesn't mean that they shouldn't exist. It doesn't mean I should stop them. I'm sure there are many men who want to date either of those. I don't care. And that's fine. I'm open to many things. I would never want to date a woman who's an active sex worker. Would I consider someone who has a sorry past? Maybe. Depends on the woman. I might. That's how liberal I am. I might open up. But I've never dated a woman who's a current sex worker. Does that mean people shouldn't date sex workers? Does that mean people don't have the right to date? No, it means I shouldn't date one because I don't want one. That's fine. But there are men who absolutely will. And those women should be able to date the men that want to date them. I'm sorry. It sounds so common sense, but that's why I'm so upset. It's because she's saying those people don't deserve to exist and should not exist. We have to get rid of them. We have to end it. No, just don't date them. My dear, just don't date them. It's okay. So anyway, let me keep walking down this road. I have a couple more of these I'm going to grab real fast. Robert says, I'm hearing how people speak about relationships in general. And for people who have their ish halfway together, quite frankly, it sounds easy to be alone. Sadly, you are right. And many men are choosing that. Many men are choosing to be alone. I get it completely. I do understand it. I'm not saying I like it. I don't like the idea. Robert, I want us as Americans to be together and to have more families and to have more children. That is what I personally would like more Americans to do. At the same time, I get why people are not getting together. I do. It's so obvious. It's why I talk about it. It's why I talk about it. Because I would like it to not be a thing. Morgan says women weren't allowed credit cards in 1974. My point. Yes, Morgan, I totally understand why women created tactics to control men. Yes, society made that required. So yes, absolutely. Society made it required. 100%. Yeah, Ron says, yes, a person using that terminology, microaggression, is not a serious person. Correct. Yes. Matt says, microaggression is such a load of horseshit. Utterly true. Yes. Utterly true. Absolutely garbage. Not true. When they say that, it's just garbage. Yes. Shelley says that rant was a microaggression. 100%. Yes. Joe says, slay, queen, slay. 100%. Absolutely. Yes. That's totally total garbage. Yeah. She just says stuff. And of course, the women like, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's garbage. Yes. Ron says, nah, she didn't go undercover. She just wanted an excuse to be loose. No, she is. She is. Most of these, when you look at many of these women, and again, the stats are here already. You can do your homework on this. The average 20-year-old woman will have more partners, different sexual partners, than the average 30-year-old male. That's how that works now. That used to be the opposite. That's no longer true. Women are very promiscuous relative to the past 30 years. And I mean very much. Younger women are much more likely to cheat than before, much more likely to cheat than men are. and they're having much more sex. And it even goes into, believe it or not, STDs, STIs. Women are like 4 times more likely to have an STI than a male because they're sharing the same men, right? The alpha male, Chad, as you said, is sleeping with multiple men. In big cities specifically, women are openly and voluntarily creating a harem system. They would rather share men who they view as valuable or quality, right? Their view, than date men who they don't see as quality. They'd rather share a quality man than be seen with one who's not. So you have massive amounts of men who are invisible, and then a few of the heavy hitters who sleep with all the men, all the women. So if one of them has an STI, now 12 women have an STI, right? Because if one man has it, and all the women are all on birth control, so they're not using protection, so they're on the birth control. They're just letting go, so they're all getting STDs. It's a huge thing. More women, I think it's 4-1 now. Young women, and then there's an age gap. The older you get as a woman, the less this is true. The younger you are as a woman, the more this is true. It has been a massive change in the past 20, 30 years. That's why I'm saying it's really changing. Yes. So anyway, you have a valid point. The odds are she's over 30. The odds are she's had dozens and dozens and dozens of partners. That's the odds. I mean, I don't know her personally, but the odds are she's in the city. She's a 30-something woman. The stats are there. That's why you hear people talk about that idea of women, having high body counts. You hear it because in cities, I don't know if this is true in outside of cities, but I know it's true in cities. So yes. Robert says, if male violence is so much worse than women, those who build camps, doesn't that kind of confirm the biases that women have towards men? Except that men also go into camps, right? If only women went into camps, that would be true. But the men go in camps too, right? So yeah, that's the issue. The men also go into camps. So yeah. Matt goes, wait, Chad for whites, Tyrone for black? Yes. I'm not making that up. That's true. Yes. That's literally true. Yes. That's how it works. Yep. Absolutely true. So anyway, just want to go there. So in any case, I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. Phil says presenting is her analyzing them using her terminology. Yes, I know. The presenting piece, you picked that up. Yep. Morgan says it's like going on J-Date and being upset they don't practice different faith. Yeah, if you go on, for those who don't know, J-Date is a Jewish dating site. If you go on J-Date, don't be shocked if the people there are Jewish. Now, there are some who aren't. I know guys who like Jewish women here in New York particularly. I know, and you may think that's odd, but I live in New York. It's not odd at all. I know a lot of men who are not Jewish who really like Jewish women. They prefer Jewish women. It's a thing. I don't care if you're Jewish or not. I've dated Jewish women. I don't care. Totally fine with me. But some men prefer Jewish women who aren't Jewish. And they put in their profile, whatever, Christian, Muslim, whatever, but open to convert, or they say not open. That's a thing on J-Date. You can say open to convert or not open to convert. You can put that. So they go on a J-Date and put in this and go open to convert, not open to convert. But they let them know they're not Jewish because the vast majority of people on J-Date clearly are Jewish. So yes, why would you be surprised? If you go on J-Date, it's mostly Jews. Of course. Why would you go there? I don't get it. So exactly right. Yes. I'm just keep going if I can. All right. Let's see here. Robert says, not everyone geeks out on politics. For people that geek out or have specific issues with specific policies, they blame on political parties, probably aren't going to have great conversations over dinner. Maybe. Robert, it just seems to me to be the wrong reason to not date somebody. That's my view. Clearly, everyone should date who they see and what they want. I get it, but it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't make sense to me. Just my view, right? Andrea says, I think women were sold the bill of goods with sexual freedom. I fell for it and wish I would have waited for a valuable man and settled down sooner so I could have had kids. I think a lot of women think that. There's a lot of women now, I see it constantly. Women who are in their 30s and they regret that they didn't try to find a husband in their 20s. Many of them do. And they feel like, I feel, Andrea, I think you're lucky, or this you feel lucky, I don't know, but my assumption is, in that you still found a good man. I know a lot of women who, one of two things. have said, I don't care. I'm going to wait and I'll find my person is the words they use. That's the woman's side, right? The manosphere is one, the woman's side is the other, is I'll find my person. My person's waiting for me, which is absolutely not true. It's a story women tell themselves, but it's true. The manosphere says other things. The woman, I guess the womanosphere, whatever you would call it, the womanosphere, whatever, says that my person's waiting. Your person's not waiting for you. That's not a thing. But they think that and they say it. Makes them feel better. And I get it. I'm not mad at them for it, whatever you feel. And so they will just not settle down with anybody who isn't a perfect 10 out of 10 in their own world. And many of them are going to want it alone or regretting. Many of them will. Some of them the opposite. They take the next guy and then they settle in their own minds. And I would say if you find the man you love, you didn't settle, but in their minds, they've settled. And then they're always regretful over that. I think you are very blessed, Andrea, in that you found a man who you don't feel like you settled and you still feel blessed. Good for you. Good for you. And some women get that, but some women don't. And again, life isn't fair. Sometimes you wind up being blessed. Sometimes you don't. It's just how it works. But I do think a lot of women are that way. Men, not as much. Men tend to be able to get married, which is what you see right now in America. The people who are doing best are younger women and older men. Older men are dating younger women. Younger women are dating older men. This is happening right now. Older women and younger men are invisible in many cases. And again, I'm talking, to be clear, I am speaking about single people in cities. That's a demographic I'm speaking about, right? So if you're not single in a city, this may not make sense to you. But if you are single in a city, you will probably be like, yeah, this makes sense. Those are the two most unhappy or invisible people are older women and younger men. And then the opposite, as a demographic, obviously, is individuals, is younger women and older men. So yeah, I do get that. Yes. So Kim says, once you get into your 40s, any man fit for keeping is probably being kept. That's my thing, Kim. Not here in New York. No. There are women, I know them, who are in their 40s, still saying, I'm going to have children. I'm going to find that perfect man. And I'm like, you've changed nothing you're doing. So the woman that I'm speaking about, there are many like this, changes nothing they're doing, just does the same thing they've been doing for 20 years and says somehow magically they're going to find the perfect man. Now, can you find a good man at 40? Of course you can. Not by doing the exact same thing you've been doing for 20 years. No, that you can't. You've got to change what you're doing, change how you're acting, change where you're going. And one of the things I have done in the past, I think I've brought us up also, is I've helped women get married. I have. I show them how to find the right men, where to go, change what you're doing. What you're doing isn't working. Now, again, if you're 40 and you don't want a relationship, and it's matter, and lots of women who just don't care about that, not in their world, don't care. Good for you. Enjoy. Hope you have a great life. All good. But if you're looking to find that, doing what you've been doing for 20 years is clearly not working. You should change. That's all I'm saying. You should change. That's the issue. You got to change. Yes. Phil says Larry is a regular hitch. But for women, I don't do men. I help women. I don't help men. I know it sounds weird, but I talk about men all the time. There's a bazillion men helping men find women. Bazillions of them. They're all over the place, right? There's hardly any men helping women. Mostly women that try to help men, and women are terrible at it. Women have no idea how to find men. They are terrible at it. I'm this matchmaker. She's terrible. I don't know her, and she's terrible because they're all terrible. They have no idea how to find men. They don't understand men. They have no idea what men want, how they act. They don't know where they are. They have no idea. If you are a woman looking for a man, do not use a woman matchmaker. They have no idea what they're doing. They're utterly wrong, broken. Her marriage is broken. This matchmaker, she will be divorced in 10 years, probably 5. I'm not even joking. She'll be divorced in 5 years. She's gone. And I'm predicting it now. She'll be divorced in 5 years. She has no idea what she's talking about. If you're a woman looking for a matchmaker, if you're listening, and you are, find a man who's a matchmaker. Do not use a woman matchmaker. They're useless. Waste of your time, waste of your money. You will spend thousands of dollars and you will waste your time. They're not going to find anything for you, particularly if you're a woman who's in her 30s or 40s who doesn't want to change. You are finding female coaches and female trainers and female everything, you're finding them quitting and lying because they can't make any money. Because they can't get people married off. They can't. They don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. I'm just saying. Anyway, I've yapped away. Guys, I'm going to ask one more time. If you could, please click the button known as like. It does matter tremendously. Please share this if you can. It does matter. Remember, if you're watching this and it's not live when you're watching it, click on another video right away. Please do that. Click on another video. It'll be one of these super spots after I'm done. Please click on one of those two right away. The algo loves it. Also, the algo loves when after I'm done, at that point, please put a comment. A comment after the live. The algo loves it. So please help move this show forward. Remember, if the show is not, if you're watching it later and the show is not live, afterwards, if you would, please click on the video right away. I'll be on tomorrow again. And again, probably Sunday. I will see you all